intro switch. So here we are on what is the final days of Splatoon 3. I don't know why, but at some point I got it in my head that the big run event was the start of September. It was like the first week. Then there was a week break, and then the Grand Festival. I don't know why, but for some reason I thought there was something, right? There was some time off. Nope. A week later, here we are at the Grand Festival. So, I guess let's check it out. Listen up, it's going down. Repping the Splatlands, we are Deep Cut, Anarchy Splatcast. Here we go. Sync, we jumping Shiver, Fray, and Big Man. Unlike most Splatfests, the first phase of the Grand Fest will last 48 hours. Just so you know, the halftime report is held back until the second phase. I'm still sick, by the way, so if I have to pause to cough or sneeze or whatever, just be aware. Who's ready for some fizz bangs? Hey, hit up the battle pot in the lobby, check the rules and how to use them. Splatfest main event is underway, so you can see the sneak peek results. Which team won conch shells? What the heck is... Oh, it's a bread clip. Okay. Okay, team... It's pretty close, honestly. That's actually very close. But Team Present is in the lead. That means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Check out the current Splatfest stages. For Open and Pro, Mincemeat and Barnacle, and then Morrow and Bluefin. And then Tricolor is open at Robo Ramen. Yeah, that's something that exists. That's it for now. Latsville, that's a wrap. So, for once, we are not in the main lobby. Yeah, for this special event, we are somewheres entirely new. Right? This is at the very start of Splatoon 3, when you boot up the game for the first time, you see the Eiffel Tower destroyed in the background. Yeah, and then you get on the train station and go off. We're back here. So already we got we're gonna take some time at the start of the show to kind of look around, you know, kind of see what's going on, and then we'll go check things out. So the first thing I gotta point out is we got these posters, and these posters are signed by the different members of each team. So, right, that's Callie, that's Marie's signature, because that's Team Past. That's Pearl, and that's Marina's signature, right? That's Team Present. And then over here is, I think that's Shiver, Fray, and Big Man? Yeah, you can kind of see Big Man's face in there. For Team Future. So you have all of the other signatures are all of the different bands that, you know, make up the Splatoon universe. You know, H2O, Damp Socks. I'm pretty sure that's, one of these two is Oct. You know, from the from the Side Order DLC, Oct, DJ Deadfish, or yeah, Oct. I'm pretty sure that's them. Which it's interesting that they're repping Team Past instead of with these two in Team Present. But yeah, that's fine. And right, you just got a bunch of different bands. I'm pretty sure this entire half of the list right here is just Damp Socks, all of the, which is right, Pearl and Marina's new band. So that's already, right off the bat, that's already very interesting. We got some food. There's so many different things we're gonna have to check out. I'm gonna turn off that music. I really hope this, I know this is probably just for the event. I really hope this is an area we can come back and visit. It'd be such a shame for this to only be here at this one thing. So we enter under there, and we get covered in some rainbow ink. Do the rainbow ink do anything? I don't think so. See, they made this entire area just for the Grand Festival. And I don't know if after the Grand Festival we're going to be able to come back here. I hope we can, because it's really cool. Love that. Tons of different foods, vendors. The Cali drinking the Pepsi. Oh my... Someone... So I've already seen some of this stuff. And someone pointed out on Twitter that, you know, when it comes to dumb memes and whatnot, most games will kind of shy away from that. Splatoon embraces them. The Cali plush drinking the Pepsi is, right, a classic Splatoon 1 thing that this game had no reason to reference. But they embrace it because, you know, it's kind of funny. We got our boy merch over here. We can go up there. I kind of want to go through the big entrance first. We got our big grand festival sign. We really should take some pictures. I wish that guy wasn't there ruining my shot. How do I... Okay. I should get some pictures done. Oh, I like the guard jellyfish. So there are 3 different stages. At each of the different stages is a different, you know, member of the team. There's tons of different art. God, it's all so good. Okay, so currently the Squid Sisters are here performing in the big arena. I think it changes throughout the day. Maybe, potentially. Yeah. Woo! Right, it's basic. You know how Fortnite did all those digital concerts? And while those concerts did some crazy things, that's clearly kind of what they're going for here. I wish that instead of just a bunch of jellyfish, it was a bunch of different players walking around. You know, even if it was just people, even if this was all just other people's avatars, that would be really cool. Instead, no, it's a bunch of jellyfish. But clearly they're going for like a J-pop concert, right? Like if you saw Miku or something. I wonder if the Zapfish is around here somewhere. Because I recognize those things. Because that's, Alright. What are they called? It's the snake, the wolf, and the crane. Oh god, I don't remember. They've got a specific... It's like the Four Seasons. Not... This isn't... But it's something similar to that. There is a real... So there is a track list of what bands are performing at different times. And, right, like, this is something they released on Twitter. So there is, like, a real-life set list and whatnot. So I'm assuming that means that Deep Cut's up next. Yeah, look at that. And yeah, I'm assuming that all 3 of the bands rotate through each of the stages. This is the big one. Was this the one where the I wonder which one did the salmon run last week take place on? It might have been this one. Man, it's just cool. Like, really, the fact that they actually did... Right, usually they put in more effort into the final Splatfest. Because, you know, it's special. But this is a lot of more effort than I thought they would have. For what is potentially a one-off throwaway thing. This is a lot more effort than I would expect. Yeah, like, I wish more people like this, the audience was filled with people like this. You got you got stands selling merch. Look at these. Why? Okay, so we see the amiibos, obviously. Why did they not make some of this stuff? Why did they not make more of these plushies? These headbands, the fans? I mean, maybe in Japan they did, but, like, that would have been such a cool thing to, like, be like, hey, yeah, here's all this new Splatoon merch ahead of the festival. Instead, they just made a wristband and maybe a t-shirt. Of course, we got the Pearl and the Marinas, got the Callie and Maries. And then we have these two. I really like this. I think it's really cool that DJ Octavio is back here. What are they? Are they selling albums? I have no idea what they're selling here. Maybe albums, something like that. More merch. Yeah, it looks like they're selling shirts. But, you know, because one of the elements, right, Splatoon has always had this, I would say underlying, but it's actually kind of more prevalent than that. Right, like the second Splatoon literally had a race war in it. Because, right, it's the Squids versus the Octarians. But there's this element of this new Splatoon story that kind of started with Splatoon 2, where it was the Octarians and the Inklings were, you know, living together. Sure, there was the racism of the past that, you know, is exemplified by these two old guys. But now in the modern generation, you know, things are different. Inklings and Octolings can live together in peace and harmony and in love. Right? Things have changed. So seeing these two potentially have put aside their differences, come together to listen to some great music, you know, one of their former employees, I think that it's a very hopeful message. Is this me reading way too much into it? Oh yeah, probably. But that is kind of how I read it. I understand why they use the jellies on everything, but I wish we, because, you know, Splatoon has all these fictional in-game bands. It would have been cool to see some of them. I know that would have required creating a bunch of new models, whereas, you know, the jellies are just easy to copy and paste and change the color. But that would have been cool. God, the sunset is so beautiful. This game has some great... I noticed it earlier in the week, right, as we were getting closer to the Splatfest. This game has some beautiful sunsets. Alright, and then finally we have the big band shell. I think this is the band shell. Yeah, isn't that cool? There's some other stuff I am looking for as well. Right, we got the DJ Octavio thing. But there is one other thing I do want to find. I just don't know where it is. Yeah, we can't go any farther that way. The ladders block us off going that way. Is it... It's over here. So, look who it is. Our dear friend Oct has shown up as well. They aren't playing in any of the sets, at least not yet. But they are over there. I don't think there's a way to get... I bet there might be a way to get over there with photo mode. I would not be surprised. Because I know photo mode can do some crazy things. I would not be surprised if there's a way to get over there with photo mode. But the one thing I do want to point out is that's Marina's computer. She's got the Pearl standee / amiibo figure, and she's got a Pearl plush. Yep, she loves her wife. But no, again, it's another very small detail seeing them here. But I'm really glad they are. Right? There's clearly some effort put in here. And yeah, it's just, this is neat. They didn't have to do this, obviously, right? We've done a bunch of we've done what? God, almost 24 Splatfests before this without it, and that's just this game. But this is just cool. And I think it all looks neat. Of course, we're here repping our two girls in Team Past. Our Team Present, I mean. Because, you know, the future's a mystery. The past is history, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. Again, I do kind of wish they used the new outfits, but I know the old outfits already have the models and they don't want to create new models. I get that. That makes sense. But that would have been neat. I love this game. If this is how we go out, then we're going out with a bang. Oh, and we can cheer. We can sway. We can bounce. And we can wave. I think that's cool that they did some new emotes. And now it starts back up at the top. I have no idea where we go to actually start a match. We just see the big band shells. I'm assuming that's how we get to it. Again, I hope this is I hope after the train, after the DLC and everything, or right after the Splatfest is over, I hope that's an area we can just take the train to get to, and we can just go back to it, like, you know. I know that kind of makes it less special here today, but I'm actually fine with that. Supposedly, if you scan the amiibos, there's something you can do there. Kind of like how in the first Splatoon you could revisit the concerts. Supposedly you can do that in this game as well, which is cool. So, I was reading... So, you know, we've always done open, right? That's just kind of how I've always played this game. We've always done open. But I was reading... Because I've never actually really known what the difference is. I know I could have Googled it at any time. But I finally was like, you know what? What is the difference? So, open, I guess, is for teams. Whereas pro is for individuals. Which, I guess that's what that's supposed to be. So I know there was rumors of Rainbow Ink, and while yes, we did have Rainbow Ink on us in the lobby, I think something might change on, right, because it's the first 48 hours, which was yesterday and today. And then there's the next 48, which, you know, is after that going until Sunday. So I would not be surprised if things change. I like that the blue ink kind of has some light blue tints in it, like it's not static blue. That's neat. Alright, so what are we actually talking about this week? Things we are doing. So we've got to talk about the PS5 Pro. That's just, you know, PS5 Pro was revealed, so we're going to talk about that. I do want to quickly talk about Annapurna Interactive, because their entire staff quit. And let's just kind of briefly talk about that. I want to briefly talk about Flappy Bird and some of the things I've read that may or may not be true, but are interesting nevertheless. So I want to talk about that. And then finally I want to... And then, of course, right, because this is a special event. You know, it's the Grand Festival. I do want to talk about something special. And I've been saying up until this point that I was going to wait until the end of September to talk about my Switch 2 predictions. I've said it multiple times that we were going to wait until the end of September. It just kind of made sense because I didn't expect the Switch 2 anytime soon. Well, a lot of rumors have been spiraling the past week that, you know, hey, maybe the Switch 2 might be revealed this month. That, right, instead of, I figured it was going to be an October reveal. No, they actually might be coming sooner rather than later. And so because of that, I kind of want to just get the Switch 2 predictions done now. You know, just preempting anything. Because, you know, I don't expect us to see much, admittedly, for the reveal. but I still kind of want to do like a full year of predictions anyways. What does the Switch's, at least from, what does basically 2025 at Nintendo look like? Right, that's kind of how I'm basing these predictions. So I want to do that. We have a few small things for WIBE. I'll talk about the gelato, but we're not going to eat the Mountain Dew Baja Blast gelato on stream. I had cake earlier, so I'm not going to. I also got to talk about Oreos, because I did find the Coca-Cola. Right, last week we tried the Coke flavor, the Oreo flavored Coke. This week I was able to find the Coke flavored Oreos. Whereas last time, right, we had the Oreo flavored Coke. So I do want to talk about that. Astrobot, I guess? Sure, Astrobot. And there may be like one other thing. I didn't see Beetlejuice. I'm gonna get around to it sometime in the next week. I'm gonna get around to that, and I'm gonna hopefully get around to Transformers. Because I want to see both. Because I've heard great things about Transformers. So yeah, I'll get around to both. So with that, I think let's get into our first news story. So the PS5 Pro has officially been revealed. You know, it's been a not so closely guarded secret these past few weeks, months, year even. And so there was a lot of, talk about like, oh, we kind of saw what the console looked like 2 weeks ago. Then Sony kind of teased it last week. And then on Monday of this week, they said like, hey, stay tuned for the PS5 reveal tomorrow. And then shortly after they said that, they took the trailer down, or, they took down the announcement. But, it still ended up happening anyways. So the leaked design for the PS5, yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a PS4, or a PS5 Slim, the one with the black bar across it. It looks like that, but it's a little bigger. Basically, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be the size of the original PS5. It looks like that, but it's got racing stripes, right? Instead of a single black streak, it's got racing stripes now. But yeah, so they did a presentation Tuesday morning, 9 minutes, led by Mark Cerny, about like, hey, this is what makes the PS5 Pro the PS5 Pro. And they had 3 big talking points. Did they call it like their Trinity? They called it something like that. Like, hey, these are our big things. They have a larger GPU, so right, it should be faster. It should have less issues there. Okay, that's the big thing. They have advanced ray tracing. One of the big things that modern gaming consoles can do, that these companies love to tout, is their ray tracing. And so, of course, this new PS5 Pro has even better ray tracing. And then the third thing is they have AI-driven upscaling. So they're basically using AI to, upscale games, right? To fill in where the console may have shortcomings. In theory, AI is supposed to come in and, fix some of that stuff. There's like a whole, I think it was called PSSR? Like that's part of this system that also is supposed to, go in and, help games look better and whatnot. That's kind of their big 3 features. And they showed off a bunch of different clips from like The Last of Us, from Spider-Man 2, from I bet they showed Ratchet & Clank. That was like, hey, here's the things on the PS5 Pro compared to the original PS5. And, well, yeah, if you look, you can see a difference. I'm gonna be honest, it's not a huge difference. Like, yes, I can see, like, specifically with The Last of Us one, you can see how it looks better, right? Overall, it's more polished. Not, like, insanely so, but, yeah, the basic idea behind this is that right now on the PS5, you have to choose between fidelity or performance. Does the game run at a smooth 60 frames per second, but look worse? Or does it look better, but it doesn't run at a smooth 60 frames per second? The idea behind the PS5 Pro, as far as I can tell, is that it's supposed to, a bit, not eliminate that, but basically the mode that makes games look better should have less of a change, right? Oh, the games look better, but, you know, they now should be able to play at a consistent 60 frames, whereas before they could get, you know, a decent 30. At least that's my... After watching this showcase and listening to people talk about it, that's my understanding of what this is supposed to do. I do wish PlayStation had actually given this thing to some, you know, tech insiders who actually know what the heck, you know, all this stuff means. Because PlayStation loves, you know, these companies love to talk about teraflops and larger GPUs. But for me, a layman who knows nothing about technology, none of that means anything. A larger GPU, advanced ray tracing, AI-driven upscaling, like that just saying those buzzwords, especially AI. AI is the modern buzzword. That means nothing to me. Right? I want to actually, you know, what do people who actually know what they're talking about say this means? That's something that I want to know. And so I wish they had given this to actual, like, tech people who know what they're talking about. Instead, we just get to hear Mark Cerny talk about it for a little bit. And then, of course, after they show off all this, it comes to the price. So we knew going in that this was... It had already been leaked that this was going to be Bluetooth only. Or this was going to... Not Bluetooth. This was going to be digital only. There wasn't going to be a disk drive. There was just going to be digital only. We knew this going in, sadly. And, right, you'd have to buy the disk drive separately, which I think the separate disk drive is like $80. So we knew that going in. If I had... So I think the standard PS5 without a disk drive is, I want to say, $400. The one with the disk drive is $500. So if I had guessed, I would have said $600 and then maybe $700 for the disk drive, which sounds crazy. No. The disk drive-less version of this system is $700 for a system without a disk drive and also without a stand. If you want a stand for your thing, you have to pay an additional $30. So in theory, if you want a PS5 Pro with a disk drive, with a stand, that's going to cost you $810. That's ridiculous. Like, there's this famous moment where, you know, Sony came out to announce the PS3's price, and they walked on stage, and they said the price, and then they treated it like a mic drop, right? Like, oh, here's the price, mic drop, let's walk away. And I want to say it was, God, was it $500 or $600? It was something ridiculous like that. It was just the standard PS3 was $600 or something. It's been a while. I don't remember the exact number, but it was ridiculous. That's what this felt like, right? That Sony, after the success of the PS4, they are on such a high horse that they come out and bring out this thing and are like $700. Please pay us. I've seen some people say that, well, this is a luxury item, right? This isn't like the PS6. This is something for, you know, people who want that upgrade. It's for, like, the same people who get, like, the iPhone Max 16 or whatever the fuck it's called. That's the idea, anyways. Is, right, this is a luxury. Right? Like, if this had been the PS6, we would be singing a very different tune. Kind of like we were with the PS3. But this is, you know, a luxury item. It's not meant to replace the PS5. This is just meant to be an addition to that. So, like, on that level, I kind of get it, I guess. I got the bubble up button. Too late. But I still just think this is way too expensive. Because I want to say the jump from the PS4 to the PS4 Pro was only $100. I want to say the PS4 was $300 and the PS4 Pro was $400. Which even that was back in, what, 2019 when I got a PS4? Both those systems were out by that point. And I had to choose between getting a normal and a Pro. And I just chose the normal because that's $100 price point was a deal breaker for me. Even though it's really, in the grand scheme of things, not that much of a deal breaker. Compared to this anyways. But yeah, my immediate thought upon seeing, right, the $700 price point. Especially, so the date, we got the date as well. And it comes out November 7th. November 7th is the same day the new Mario and Luigi game comes out. So my first thought was, hey, you know, you could buy a brand new Switch and 6 copies of Mario and Luigi Brothers Ship for the exact same price as this. You could buy a Switch OLED and 6 games for the price of this one console. That's crazy. That's so I've seen a lot of people in the week since this say, like, hey, if Nintendo announces the Switch Pro or the Switch 2 and just reveals that it costs, you know, $400 or $500, boom, they win compared to Sony, right? All Nintendo has to do is reveal their new system, and it makes Sony's $700 dog piece. Man, if I could have gotten 1 or 2 more Fizzbangs out, oh, we would have had that. So close. So yeah, it's an awful price point. I'm not going to buy one. I don't know anyone who's crazy enough to buy one, because that honestly feels redonkulous. Of course, right, and the big thing is, of course, people are like, well, oh, if it's too expensive, just don't buy it. And yeah, you're right, I'm not going to buy it. And I really hope people vote with their wallets and say that, no, Sony, this is way too expensive, we're not going to buy this. Get off your high horse, you can barely stock PS5s. What the hell makes... Because the only reason they're doing PS5 Pro is because it was around this time in the PS4's lifespan that they did PS4 Pro. So, you know, just by that nature, they have to do PS5 Pro. Meanwhile, Xbox is doing an upgrade, but it's not really a Pro. It's just like, hey, it's the same console as before, but it doesn't have a disc drive, and it has 2 terabytes of storage instead of 1. That's kind of been Xbox's whole thing. And I want to say it's maybe the same price as a Series X. Like, yeah, they got rid of the disc drive, but they gave you an entire another terabyte. And don't get me wrong, I don't love that either. But I feel like Xbox can easily clap back here. It's just a question of will they. So yeah, so that's the PS5 Pro. No, I'm not getting one. I did not get a PS4 Pro. I'm not getting this. I have a PS5. It works fine. If you're thinking about getting a PS5, I do not think the PS5 Pro is worth it. At that price point, no, I could never recommend that. Of course, you know, some people, I've seen a lot of people also say that, you know, you could buy a decent quality gaming PC for the same price. And, I mean, maybe? I don't know, gaming PCs are complicated, because there are some graphics cards that the graphics card alone costs twice as much as the PS5 Pro, right? There are easily some $1,400 graphics cards. But, you know, that all depends on what you're playing and what you want. I could see the argument that no, right, because this thing comes out of the box, it works, right, this is in theory better than a gaming PC. Because, you know, it just works. And that some of these components are cheaper than you would get them for a PC. Not everything, obviously. Like, I definitely see the argument for PC. But it's way too much for me. Honestly, the PS5 at default at $500 was kind of asking a lot. So going one step beyond that. I tried to get them both. Yeah, that's all I got on the PS5 Pro. I'm not buying it. I don't know anyone who's buying it. I just hope that, because I think it goes on pre-order, like, in the next, like, 2 weeks. I really hope it's not just, like, sold out everywhere, because, you know, that just sends, vote with your wallets. That sends bad messages to Sony. but I would not be surprised if it was. Because I want to say they did say that, like, compared to the PS5, they're not trying to make as many of these. Like, because this is more of a niche product for, you know, your ultra hardcore gamers TM. They're only making so many of these compared to the PS5, which, you know, they've had trouble keeping in stock. So next up, I want to talk about Flappy Bird. So Flappy, this is kind of a weird story. They announced Flappy Bird is coming back. I was never good at Flappy Bird. I'm just gonna be frank. I was not good. Flappy Bird came out when I was in high school. So I was never good at it. But in my Spanish class, I took Spanish class with a bunch of different members of the baseball team. Right? It was me, and like sitting around me were like 4 or 5 different guys from the baseball team. And one of them was amazing at Flappy Bird. So, right, we were talking about it, and he's like, oh, let me see what I can do. And he got to like 200 or 300, just like casually doing it, because he was really good at it. Did we finally win a match today? That took us forever to win a match. So yeah, that's kind of my experience with Flappy Bird. I bet if I could find that old phone, because I think I still have it, I bet it still has Flappy Bird on it, because I didn't get rid of it, right, when it got taken off the App Store, because I was an Android guy, right? I bet I still have Flappy Bird on that phone if I were to find it. So yeah, that was a whole thing. That was crazy. I might totally be 300. I might be totally misremembering that. That seems wild to me in hindsight now, or now that I'm thinking about it. But he was really good at it. So yeah, that's kind of my experience with Flappy Bird. None of the spin-offs I was good at. I remember playing it in Goat Simulator and just struggling to play it. But it was announced earlier this week that, hey, guess what? Flappy Bird is coming back. And it's going to be on Android, it's going to be on iPhone, it's going to be on PC, it's going to be on console. And basically they're trying to make like the Flappy Bird universe. Already, the mobile gaming landscape between 2014 and 10 years later in 2024, very different, right? In the modern world, microtransactions, loot boxes, on the season passes, right? Where you pay to like play the game every day. It rules honestly, every scummy gaming practice on console is 1,000 times worse on mobile. Like, I don't even think people realize how bad mobile gamers have it. So, yeah, things are not good for mobile gamers. But, right, this new Flappy Bird, it's going to use all of that. It's going to have loot boxes, it's going to have microtransactions, it's going to have different worlds and mini games, and, you know, all that bullshit you would expect from, hey, what if we took one of the, already a pretty, you know, addictive mobile game, what if we took that in the modern day? Yeah, it's going to be shit. I don't, you know, I know they're banking off nostalgia, but it's going to be shit. Now, so that's just part of the story. That's right, Flappy Bird coming back and being a loot box game does not surprise me. What I did find interesting, though, is supposedly what happened is, so Flappy Bird came out in 2014, right? The guy, Dong Nguyen, he's a Vietnamese guy who I want to say he was Vietnamese and he was living in Vietnam, but he had a studio, but he was working with a studio in America. So there's some sort of complicated way that game exists. And right, the new developers are claiming that, right, the old developer is working with them, and that, right, they were able to basically get the trademark and, you know, work with the old developer to bring the game back. It actually seems like it's a little bit more complicated than that now, because I guess people have found filings that the new developer working on this game basically they didn't steal the trademark, but because Flappy Bird has been off the App Store for a decade now, the trademark for Flappy Bird was basically considered abandoned. So this new developer was just able to come in and snatch up the trademark and that's why the game's coming back. And maybe that's why, right, when the trademark got abandoned, and now these new developers were able to come in, maybe that's why the original developer agreed to be part of it, because he would rather be part of the new thing than just, you know, have the thing be completely abandoned or whatever. There's definitely some story there, where, you know, things went wrong, and, you know, definitely something happened with the trademark. This isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Something bad happened behind the scenes. Let me pull up the exact tweet where I read this. So it comes from an account named Sam and Cheat, and it's Dong Nguyen killed a chart-topping game because his kill became so bad after realizing it had become an addiction that he couldn't sleep. Game Tech Holding LLC has now revived the game, but with more dark patterns, loot boxes, and predatory designs. But why would Nguyen sell the Flappy Bird trademark? Hope he got his bag. Looks like he didn't. It seems like it's been long enough that the trademark was considered abandoned, so Game Tech Holding LLC filed against him and just grabbed it for free, basically. If it's true, it's extremely depressing. Great work, gang. We bothered Flappy Bird. See you in court. Oh, so it's at least the guy who created the game Flappy Bird was very heavily inspired by, is part of the new... So it's not... So Dong Nguyen is not part of this new Flappy Bird, but the game that he took influence from to make his game is working on this new thing. That's what it seems like. Okay. That makes more sense. But yeah, it's this whole Flappy Bird thing. I've seen some people be like, oh my god, Flappy Bird is back. 10 years of Flappy Bird. Holy shit. Right? I've seen some people be like, yeah, I immediately read the cynicism of all of this. I was like, no, this is not a good thing. Clearly, they're going to do microtransactions and loot boxes. I was immediately reading this as cynical as possible. Because I don't know how else you read this. Right? Like, they're clearly just cashing in on an established IP. Like, there's no other way I can see to read that. Other than, you know, exactly what they are doing. Which sadly does not surprise me. Yeah, so I'm not looking forward to this new Flappy Bird. I am not going to download it. No interest from me whatsoever. But yeah, so that's what's going on with Flappy Bird. Our next story comes from Annapurna Interactive. So this all started on like Monday, where it was announced that the president of Annapurna was stepping down, as well as two of the co-heads. So 3 major people at the company were stepping down. So that's kind of where this story started on Monday. And then it came out earlier today, or yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, it was earlier today. That the entire staff of, you know, their independent games division, which was about 25 people, but that's still their entire staff, has all stepped down, right? They were basically, from what I understand from reading the articles about it, from Jason Schreier, they were basically in negotiations to try to become more independent, right? The studio was more interested in making, like, basically AAA games. So they had been in talks, and they were in talks about this, but negotiations seem to have broken down for them trying to become an independent entity. And that's what caused this, right? They've had a mass resignation. Right now, honestly, this story is so new, and there are so many balls up in the air that we're not entirely sure what this means. This could mean any number of things, both good and bad. There's a lot of hesitation, obviously, and rightfully so, right? A lot of people who have contracts with Annapurna are extremely nervous about what this means, how this could affect the future of the company, how this could affect their dealings, and at the moment, yeah, we just don't know. This could literally be anything. So there's obviously a lot of hesitation, a lot of... I'm going to use discomfort for lack of a better word. So far, the one thing that we do kind of know for sure is that, right, supposedly the developer, or Annapurna, they are, right, while things are up in the air, they're going to honor existing contracts. So contracts that do currently exist, shit. I thought we were doing pretty good there, but no, we lost in the end. Yeah, so supposedly they are going to be honoring existing contracts. How exactly that's going to look like, what that's going to be, we have no idea. Right, there are too many uncertainties right now. But really, something like this in the gaming industry hasn't really happened like this before. You know, an entire studio stepping down is kind of a big deal. 25 people, I know Microsoft literally also in the past 2 days fired 650 people. Because, you know, for the second time this year, they have fired hundreds of people. Exactly like we all thought they were going to when they merged with Activision Blizzard. Right, that even though they're claiming they're getting rid of redundancies and they're not shutting down any studios, that's still 650 people laid off. But right, whether it's 650 or even 25, all of that still matters at the end of the day. I've not been paying... Have we been coming across a lot of the same team tonight? I was looking at my friends list on Splatoon teams, and I have most of the dozens or so friends who play Splatoon 3. 6 of them are on Team Present, like me. I think that might include me as 6. I think 4 of them are on Team Future, and 2 of them are on Team Past. Right, in the past week, I've more or less talked to at least one person on each team. Just through, random conversations and whatnot. Yeah, I've not been paying attention to see if we've been battling all 3 members, or if it's mostly just been mirror matches. We'll have to wait and see. Oh! Maybe a double. So yeah, that's the Annapurna thing. We're gonna find out more and more from this as time goes on. There was one from one of the developers, David however, it starts with a W, who said, right, for folks asking about his game, nothing is going to stop them from getting their game Wanderstop out the door very soon. So at least some developers are going to push through this, right? No matter what deal they have with Annapurna, they're going to get it figured out and they're going to get their game out. So, you know, honestly, those are the people I care about the most. Those who have made deals with Annapurna, who aren't, well, not in limbo, are in kind of perilous places. And I just hope, right, things work out in them for the end. In the end, right, at the end of the day, I hope everything works out. Oh my gosh. I'm doing awful tonight. We've only won, what, 1 of our, 6 matches? I should go back to Open. Pro does not seem to be working well for me. So yeah, anything else I got for the Annapurna stuff? Because we're gonna get to, we're gonna get to the Switch 2 predictions here in a minute. Any other things I've got? Any other news bits? Should we talk about politics real quick? Can we get back to politics, please? There was a presidential debate. I did watch it. Donald Trump made a fool of himself. I wish I had put money on him bringing up the cats and dogs thing. Right, people eating people's pets. Because I was reading an article in the newspaper about that morning, and I thought to myself, Donald Trump's going to bring this up during the debate. And I didn't, and I was just you know, I wish I had said something to somebody, just so that way I had that proof of, the Pixar, it didn't happen. And I just didn't. But of course he brought it up. He made an ass of himself. Kamala Harris, well, she did fine. She didn't do anything outstanding. She did fine. But yeah, she beat him handedly, right? I don't know if Kamala Harris won. I just know Donald Trump lost. And maybe that's all that mattered. Because he made a fool out of himself. I've been seeing those videos of, like, people doing, like, group reactions and just bursting out laughing when he mentions the dog thing. Him mentioning working for the Taliban. All the Russia and Ukraine stuff where he won't admit that he thinks Russia should, like, you know, that Ukraine shouldn't surrender, that Russia should lose. He can't say that because, of course, he wants to be Putin's BFF. Her saying he sends love letters to Kim Jong-un. There were a lot of good moments like that. I think, right, like, the debate starts off pretty boring, but the second she I think it's the third question, right, the immigration one. That should be an easy layup for him. She lays the trap about the campaign rallies, and he takes the bait. Hook, line, and sinker. And that's it for him. Right after then, he just spirals. He gets worse and worse. He says stupider and stupider things. And he for sure lost. And then, of course, he's like, oh, I'm not going to do another debate. I clearly won this one. The polls say I won this one 90-10. I obviously won this one. I'm not going to do another debate. Yeah, he lost so hard, and he's so fucking scared. Meanwhile, he's got Laura Loomer in his ear telling him exactly what to do, and everybody fucking hates her. I remember when she cuffed herself to Twitter's HQ right before Elon bought it. Gosh, she's fucking crazy. Her and the whole ISIS thing is wild as well. Oh my god. I was reminded of that story as well this week, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's wild. She did do that, didn't she? Yeah, no, so the debate, you know, Kamala, you know, I still hate some of her policies and whatnot. I wish she had a better stance on Palestine and Israel, but she's dominating Trump at the moment. It's still way closer than it should be. Like, she's maybe sitting at like 57 and he's at like 43, or however that math checks out. Like, it's way closer than it should be, and there's still a real chance that because Trump did shit and she did okay, that basically evens out. But I'm more hopeful now than I have been in a long time. The Kamala era has been a great era. Taylor Swift coming out to endorse her and telling people, do your research, here's a link to sign up to vote, and it having driven like 400,000 people to vote.gov is fantastic. That's great news to hear. Right. We'll see what and then, of course, all the right-wingers have been freaking out about that and being like, I denounce Taylor Swift. And, you know, Taylor Swift is dead to me. She should stay out of politics. I mean, she's been in politics the entire time because she fucking hates Trump. Right? She may not be left-leaning, but she hates Trump. And I can work with that. I can work with that. So yeah, it's been a crazy week. Presidential debate, man, it's been, ooh boy. But hey, we got one. It's definitely a better showing than Biden's debate a few weeks ago. Ah, he just instantly got me. I feel like in Pro, the tides switch so easily. Like, I feel like almost instantly the tides are turning. Like, we just covered this entire area, and in a matter of seconds, they've taken it back. Right? In the time it took us to respawn, they basically retook that entire area. Yeah, we lost this one. Alright, so let's get to Switch 2 predictions. So I basically want to predict, basically from, you know, now-ish until December of next year. What is Nintendo going to announce? Right, what are some of their games? How are they going to do things for the Switch 2? If I had to guess, they're going to very heavily follow the Switch model, right? Because the way they released the Switch, actually worked really well for Nintendo. The Switch's release strategy was actually a very good release strategy. They had a lot of good games coming out in a very short period of time, within a year. You know, I mean, I'm using a year here as a short period of time that had a lot of good first-party games. It had a lot of good third-party games. I think overall, the first year of the Nintendo Switch was very solid. So I feel like it's in their best interest to just do that again. I think it would make the most sense to be like, hey, this worked for the Nintendo Switch. Let's just do that again. Of course, there is the question of, is the Switch 2 even going to be revealed this month? There's been a lot of rumors that were saying that yes, it is. I saw some people respond and say that no, it isn't. Look who scored the shell out machine. What? Oh, maybe it's a note thing? Oh, okay, that makes sense. Alright, I didn't want to change my... Let's go to our handy-dandy bucket. I also want to do that. So yeah, it does... right, there's all these rumors that it's coming out this month. But then I saw some people look at those original rumors and be like, no, it's actually, they're just announcing a new model of the Switch OLED. That there's nothing new there, that in fact this is just a new model of the Switch OLED. And I can honestly believe that. The last time I thought we were going to get the Switch Pro, it in fact just turned out to be the Splatoon model of the Switch OLED. So I could see something, I could see a Mario and Luigi Brothership version of the OLED. They announced that they're going to be doing a bundle of the OLED with a year of Nintendo Switch Online and a copy of Mario Wonder in Australia and New Zealand. I would not be surprised if that deal comes up over here to the States. You know, usually we get the same Mario Kart deal every year for the holidays. At least we have for the past, like, 4. So if they want to bring, hey, instead of doing the same Mario Kart bundle, what if they do, you know, a new Switch bundle that did we do Open or did we do Pro? I was not paying attention. Right, instead of doing that, if they just do like, hey, you know, here's a new Mario Wonder bundle instead of a Mario Kart bundle, that would make sense. Giving a year of Nintendo Switch Online is also fine. I think that's totally possible. So, maybe we get it this month, maybe we don't. Maybe this version of the Switch OLED that has already been announced is just the thing. I still think a Mario and Luigi Switch OLED with green and red Joy-Cons would be pretty neat. Not that I'd buy it, but I think it'd be pretty cool. And like as the last version of the Switch, you know, getting rid of that last pot of Switch OLED stock would make sense, but we'll see. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is, of course, they show the Switch 2. How do I expect them to show the Switch 2? I think they're going to do what they did last time. We're going to get a trailer, and it's going to be people playing the Switch OLED, or, you know, the Switch 2. I just need to I'm just, for all intents and purposes, I'm going to call it the Switch 2. It might have a different name. There was a 4chan post over the weekend, because, you know, not every 4chan leak is real, but every real leak I've ever seen has come from 4chan. That was the new version, that the new successor to the Nintendo Switch is going to be called the Nintendo Switch version 2. And while I do think that post is fake, honestly, that name is so fucking stupid that I could believe it. I believe that Nintendo is stupid enough that they would call the successor to the Nintendo Switch version 2. Over, you know, calling it a Switch 2, over calling it the OLED. I mean, if they shorten it to Switch V2, I would be fine with that, because I use branding like that all the time, where I do, like, V2, or, you know, how we title these episodes, you know, S5 episode 36, right? S5E36. I think abbreviations look fine sometimes. But I don't know, man, it's just stupid enough that it might be true. So I think we get a trailer. I think we see some people playing existing Switch games. Like we see the new we see like an updated look at Tears of the Kingdom. And we see some new stuff. Specifically, I would expect a new Mario Kart. Because, you know, you've got Mario Kart 8. We've been on Mario Kart 8 for a decade now. Give us Mario Kart 9. Give us Nintendo Kart. Whatever it be. We see some clip shots of that. And then we see a new 2D Mario game. The new 2D Mario game, maybe we see a third party, right? Because so the original Switch trailer, which we should watch, right, showed the Nintendo Switch being, right, it showed off how the system worked. Hey, these guys are playing it in a car, this guy's playing it on a plane. You can play it with a friend, you can play it on a TV, you can take it to a roof party. It showed off all the different ways you could play the Switch, and I expect them to do something very similar with the Switch 2. Be like, hey, these are all the different places and ways that you can play Switch 2. Show it off, show off the new games. Right, you know how the original Switch trailer had Skyrim? A pretty good game that I think made a very decent addition to the Switch library. Right, the idea of Skyrim on the go is a very promising idea. Nowadays, right, you can't do that anymore. Because you have things like the Steam Deck, or that PlayStation thing. You can't really recreate, the magic of the Switch reveal can't really be redone again. Okay, we're still in Pro. So you can't really recreate that magic, but you know what? While this game is playable on the Steam Deck OLED, I'm just gonna say Steam Deck for lack of a better thing. I don't think the OLED difference matters. While this game is playable on the Steam Deck, I think having one of the games in the reveal trailer be Baldur's Gate 3, the game that won Game of the Year last year, would be a huge deal. Because, right, there's no way the current Switch can run Baldur's Gate 3, but I bet if the Steam Deck can run Baldur's Gate 3, I bet the Switch 2 can. So I think instead of having Skyrim, having Baldur's Gate 3 would be a huge deal. I think that'd be a very logical choice. So that's gonna be those are my 4 game predictions. Tears of the Kingdom, a new Mario game, a new Mario Kart, and Baldur's Gate 3. So we get that sometime either this month or in October. Then, you know, throughout November, December, January, I could see them kind of go quiet on things, because they still want to obviously sell Nintendo Switches for the holiday season. So I could see them, you know, maybe do a few media junkets. Like, one of the first times we saw the Nintendo Switch outside of that trailer was on, I want to say it was Jimmy Kimmel, right? Reggie went on Jimmy Kimmel, him and Miyamoto, and they showed off the Switch, they showed off Breath of the Wild. I could see them, maybe not on Jimmy Kimmel, but somewheres with some group doing something similar. You know, the Switch had, part of the reason they did the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing was because Nintendo needed to appeal to mainstream audiences. And that's kind of how they found a way to do it. So I could see them doing something similar, going on, you know, the Today Show, or finding some sort of mainstream news outlet or something. Yeah, I would love for them to use YouTubers and whatnot, but I doubt they will. And just be like, hey, here's the Switch 2, you know, we got to check it out, we got to play on it. You know, just a general way of showing things off. I think that would be very clever, but we'll actually see what happens in the future. So that's that. Right, I think we get that throughout November and January. Of course, Mario and Luigi Brothership comes out in November. I don't know if we have a December Nintendo game. I feel like we do, but I kind of don't remember. It's been a while, so I don't really remember. But I feel like we should have something. Oops, I didn't. I forgot they were there, if I'm being completely honest. So I feel... Do they have an AFK team member? So I feel like we get something like that, right? We get Mario and Luigi Brothership. They have some... Nintendo has to have something in December. I just have no idea what. I know they've got something. It's Nintendo after all. I bet that guy was just waiting for somebody to kill them, and now they're off getting revenge. They're going to be the best player on the team. What do they have? They must have, they always have something in December. I just can't think of it. And then, of course, they have Donkey Kong in January. So I think that continues like that. And then, now for the Switch, they did the big Switch reveal in January. They did a big January showcase that was like, hey, here's the Switch reveal. You know, it's this big thing. We're going to do this big live, you know, on-stage showcase one January night. I think they're going to do something similar. Maybe not a live showcase like last time, but I could see them doing something. But I think whenever that live showcase ends up being, whatever that direct is, I think it's going to happen in February. I think it makes the most sense for the big Switch reveal. If the console, right, the Switch came out in May, or March, I mean. So if the Switch 2 is not coming out until like April, God, that's the second time that's happened tonight. And if this was an election, I'd be Donald Trump. Losing the popular vote twice. Because he's a loser. So I think they do it in February. I think they do a big showcase that kind of is like, hey, here's all the new games, here's all the new features about the Switch 2 that are coming out in the next year. I think that's the easiest way to do it. I think they do it in February, and then the Switch 2 comes out in sometime between April and June. I think getting it out earlier is better. I think it would make more sense to get it out in April than wait until June. Because then, you know, you can do a showcase in June as well. And I think it would suck to have the showcase in the system be back-to-back. Right? Because that showcase in June is when you can start talking about next year's games. And, you know, get better looks at, like, you know, like what they did with Mario Odyssey. Where they showed it off at the January showcase. And then we found out about the capture mechanic in June. I think they do something very similar. So what do I expect from the Switch 2, right? What do I actually expect from the hardware? It's going to be a little bigger, right? We know it's on an OLED, but it's going to have a bigger screen probably. Just slightly bigger. It's probably going to be an LCD screen. We're going to get some new type of Joy-Con. They're going to be a little bigger. I hope old Pro controllers and Joy-Cons work on the new system. Because it would really suck having to, you know, buy an entire new set. You know, because that was one of the nice things about the Wii U was that I could just use all my Wiimotes. Like, I had 4 Wiimotes from having a Wii. I didn't have to buy a single new controller. I did not buy a single new controller for the entire lifespan of the Wii. That was so nice. I hope they do the same thing on Switch. Because I do feel like you know how we can strap the Joy-Cons on the Switch to charge them? I feel like the old Joy-Cons are not going to work like that on the Switch 2, but I feel like there's a good possibility that the old Joy-Cons are able to Bluetooth sync up on the Switch 2. Because Nintendo's now selling that new separate controller charger, and I think that's going to be an important part of it. So that's just a prediction there, that I don't think they'll hook up to the console, but I will think it does matter. I do think it does matter. What else? So Nintendo did their HD Rumble, which is on the PS5 controller, but then the PS5 controller also added in adaptive triggers, right? Pressure-sensitive triggers that, you know, change depending on their feedback. I very much feel like that's an idea that assuming Nintendo can take that, I'm assuming that's something they want to take. Right, I know I know pressure-sensitive triggers are, accessibility issues. Nintendo doesn't give a shit about accessibility. They will always put a gimmick over accessibility, sadly. It actually kind of sucks that they will. But I could reasonably see them doing that. So I think there's assuming, right, the adaptive triggers aren't, like, completely copyright struck by Sony, I could realistically see them doing that. I could see them putting a microphone on one of the Joy-Cons. That's another easy thing for them to do. You know, just kind of update it. I don't think they're going to do a D-pad on one of them. I know some people really hate that Joy-Cons don't have a D-pad. I get that. I don't think this is going to change it, though. I think the way they're doing it so that way, you know, you could give half a controller to a friend and they basically have the same button layout. I think that works fine for Nintendo. I think they like that. I don't expect that to change. So that's a thing. What else do I expect? LCD, adaptive triggers. And I can even maybe make the, if they do a Pro Controller again, maybe only the Pro Controller has adaptive triggers. Like, kind of like the, you know, the PlayStation. I could see them doing that. I think that's less likely. I don't know, the Joy-Con, there's a part of me that hopes they cut off the IR sensor from the Joy-Con, because I don't know anybody who uses that IR sensor. There's maybe been like 2 or 3 games throughout the history of the Switch that have used it, so I don't think I think they can get rid of that. I think that's a perfectly acceptable thing to get rid of, and, you know, just not worry about it. I think that makes sense. Let's see, adapter. I don't think the Switch 2 is going to have a crazy gimmick. You know, I've seen all these crazy gimmicks about, like, what if it has a second screen? Oh, hey, did we get our name announced? Good news, 10X battle. Whoa, who brought it home for us? Lemon, me, BRG, and Crocofan. Cool. I'll take a 10X one. Throughout the entire history of this game, I've never done a 100X battle. I've also never done a 333 battle, but it'd be cool to do a 10X battle, or a 100X battle once. I don't know what triggers it. I don't know. I saw someone on Twitter being like, oh yeah, I get a 100X battle every Splatfest. At least one. I've never gotten a single one. I maybe get like 3 10X battles. And there have been some Splatfests where I've never gotten a single 10X battle. Right? It's completely random. But yeah, so I do not expect the Switch 2 to have a crazy gimmick. I know, right, there's been that whole thing about the double screen, right? Oh, you can pop one screen off and give it to a friend. Just because Nintendo files a trademark for something doesn't mean they're going to use it. Remember in the lead up to the original Switch, how they had a special screen with buttons in it? And like, hey, you'd press the buttons on the screen, and they were like actual like feedback buttons built into a screen? That never got you know, they made that whole design. And that was the rumor for the Switch, the original Switch, that never got used. I don't think that's coming back for the Switch 2. So I'm just making that prediction right now. That's not going to come back. I don't think we're getting 2 screens. Honestly, the best possible version of the Switch 2 is just the Switch, but better. Better graphics, better hardware, preferably either a better battery life or at least the same battery life. Right? I like the Switch OLED's battery life. It's pretty decent. 4K would be nice, you know. There's been a lot of talk about Nintendo using AI upscaling and whatnot. Kind of similar to something like Sony to do 4K upscaling. That'd be cool. I like one of Arlo's predictions was an open face dock, right? Because right now the Switch sits in a closed dock. I like the idea of an open face dock. I think that'd be really nice. Because, you know, I always worry about scratching my Switch's screen. That's never happened. I don't know anybody that's happened to, but that will always be a concern of mine. It'd be really nice to know that, yeah, it's just an open face dock. That'll never happen. That'd be really cool. I said they put a microphone on it. Maybe they put a camera on it, right? Like a laptop style camera that you'd see on like a Chromebook. Or like put it on the top of the system. I could see that. Alright, I think Arlo said in his prediction video calls would be a thing. I think that's kind of dumb unless they get like WhatsApp integration or something like that. But you never know. What else? Do I have anything else? I definitely think that, right, during this big presentation, we see some right, kind of like how the PlayStation Pro Direct just did a bunch of side-by-side comparisons. I think we get side-by-side comparisons of, hey, look, here's the Switch, Here's the Switch 2 in the original Switch running Tears of the Kingdom. Here's the Switch and Switch 2 running Metroid Prime 4. Right? Stuff like that, just to see the side-by-side comparison. To see, like, hey, look how much better the new one looks. Because I do think this thing is going... It'd be really dumb if this thing isn't backwards compatible. It'd just generally be a waste of, right, everyone's time and money if this thing wasn't backwards compatible. I feel like there's a lot more profit to be made off of backwards compatibility than there isn't. It's Nintendo. There is a... I'm going to say 50% chance that the Nintendo Switch Online games completely reset on the Switch 2. That instead of just bringing over the current existing Nintendo Switch Online game libraries, they start over as if it never happened. Because that would be, what, the third, fourth time they've done that? It'd actually probably be the fifth. And they've done it 4 times before. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it a 5th time. I expect Nintendo Switch Online to stay the same. I think it's going to keep at the same price. I think they're going to keep the, I think the family membership is fantastic. I love the family membership, right? If they're going to do Nintendo Switch Online, I want that having that family membership is so convenient. I want them to keep that. I think keeping the same price would be a smart move. I kind of hate... I hate that they broke it up into 2 tiers. I could realistically see them getting rid of the lower tier and just being like, hey, there's only a high tier. And, give more benefits to the high tier. I still think that idea of making a Nintendo Switch music app, that, basically Nintendo Spotify. It works on your phone, it works on the Switch, and it just has every soundtrack ever made by Nintendo. You can just listen to them, make that part of Nintendo Switch Online. That'd sell gangbusters. Right? People would literally buy that just for the music. And, right, not for Nintendo Switch Online. I think that would be a very clever move for them to do. But we'll see. It's Nintendo. That's such an easy money-making option. I don't know how I fell off there. That, of course, they're not going to do that. So, yeah. There are a few other things. I do think, every Nintendo generation, we do tend to get a new IP. Right? For the Switch, it was ARMS, which was immediately forgotten about, and I don't think it's coming back. For the Wii U, it was, what, Nintendo Land, ? I don't know if that one really counts. For the Wii, it was, of course, Wii Sports. For the GameCube, it was Pikmin. And there's, like, a dozen other examples, right? Every generation, Nintendo gives us a new IP. At least in the past, like, 20 years. So I can realistically see, hey, it's the start of a new console generation. Oh, for the Wii U, it was Splatoon. That's what I was... It's not Nintendo Land, it was Splatoon. Duh. I'm playing it right now. I could realistically see at the start of a new generation, hey, here's the new Nintendo IP. It is, I don't know what it's going to be. It's Nintendo. They could do anything. I'd love to see their take on... I don't want their take on like League of Legends. I would hate Nintendo League of Legends, but I would love to. You know what I would love to see from a new Nintendo IP? I would love to see Nintendo's take on Dark Souls. I know that sounds weird, but Dark Souls, Souls-like games are games made with a lot of love and passion. And I would love to see how Nintendo would adapt that. Because a lot of these developers are like, oh, we don't want to put an easy mode in our Dark Souls game. Well, okay, mainly the main one. I feel like Nintendo, if anyone's going to figure out how to put Dark Souls, make an easy mode in Dark Souls. To be fair, I think Another Crab's Treasure did figure that out. But I would love to see Nintendo's take on it. How they would do a Souls-like. Even if it's not like the most difficult... I know difficulty is an important part of Souls-like. But I think there are other elements of Souls-like that, to be fair, it also takes a lot from the Metroidvania genre. I would love to see what they could do with it. A Nintendo Souls-like would be very interesting. But I don't think that's going to happen, obviously. I think we're going to get some third-party games. I already mentioned Baldur's Gate 3. I think that's a very obvious one. I think that one makes a lot of sense. It'd be a big thing for Nintendo. I'm still predicting GTA 5. I know I said GTA 5 was going to come to the Switch like 6 years ago. 7 years ago, potentially. That never happened. I could see with GTA 6 coming out next year. them being like, hey, guess what? If you want to play GTA 5, I don't think GTA 6 is coming to Switch, obviously, but I could see GTA 5 coming to Switch too. That's just kind of one of those predictions I think I'm going to always make. Because it's weird that it didn't happen. It's weird that we only ever got Skyrim. The fact that we never got a single Fallout game on the Switch kind of blows my mind. Because I feel like Fallout 4 would have ran fine on Switch. Even if they had ported Fallout 3 or New Vegas, people would have loved New Vegas on Switch. I know New Vegas has problems, but it still would have been cool. You know, when I say New Vegas has problems, I mean it has problems running. Like, getting that game to actually fucking work is a whole nightmare. But you know, anything's possible. Oh, gosh dang it. I just got one more hit. Yeah, I see some sort of big third-party thing. I see maybe something with Xbox. I don't think, you know, PlayStation's putting, so Xbox does not view the Switch as a competitor. And as a result, I could see some Xbox games coming to Switch. Specifically the Master Chief Collection. I don't think we're going to get Game Pass on Switch 2. I don't think we're going to go that far. But I could see us getting, like, the Master Chief Collection. You know, if Microsoft wants to announce a new Banjo-Kazooie remake or something, doing it at a Nintendo showcase and being like, yep, this is coming to Switch 2, it's coming to Xbox later this year, right, that'd be a big thing. Or something GoldenEye, I don't know. They can figure out something. I could see Microsoft genuinely announcing something. Or maybe one of the studios, Microsoft, you know what it's going to be? I just remembered. Nintendo signed a deal with Activision Blizzard to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo consoles. Right? That's one of the reasons the Activision Blizzard Microsoft buyout was able to happen, was because Nintendo signed that deal. I think they're gonna bring Call of Duty to Switch. Maybe Warzones? Right? I know there's the new Call of Duty, right? Black Ops 6 or whatever. I think it would be a bigger deal if they brought Warzones. Because, right, that's that additive games that keeps getting come to. I would love to see, some Nintendo character in Fortnite, but I feel like that ship has kind of already sailed. You know, they could always open up the door again. New console, new life, but I doubt it. Nintendo very clearly wants to keep their characters on their hardware. They're not going to change that. Except for that one time, you know, they did it on mobile, but we don't talk about that, I guess. So I could see that. Yeah, no, I think Call of Duty Warzones makes perfect sense. And I think that gets your Microsoft thing in there. I don't think we're going to see any, right, I know Sony's putting all their games on PC, but Sony still, for the most, I feel like, even though Nintendo's not really their competition, they still kind of treat them like they are. So I don't, like, it'd be cool to see, like, the original God of War 2018 and Spider-Man 2018. We're not going to get any of that, no. Especially not here. Maybe another partner. It'd be cool to see a non-Nintendo developer use Nintendo IP, right? We had Ubisoft get the Mario IP, the Star Fox IP. I'd love to see someone other than Ubisoft, honestly, get a crack at a Nintendo IP. I'd love to see them give the Star Fox IP to somebody else and see, like, hey, what game can you make with this? Give the, I don't know. There's like a dozen games that I would love to see Nintendo give an IP to and just be like, hey, make a game with this. You know? Give From Software the Zelda IP just to see what they crank out. Announce that Kojima Productions is working with, that Sakurai and Kojima have teamed up to make a game. And they're using one of Nintendo's existing IPs. Or, you know, one of Kojima's, or they're making something new. That'd be fun. You know, I'd love that. Because Sakurai's obviously not going to do it, right? He's retired, basically. I think we might get a revival. I think Star Fox, or, you know, the fact that we did get F-Zero 99, and it seems to be doing okay. I could see us getting a new F-Zero. Finally, Nintendo being like, you know what? It's been 20 plus years at this point. Let's bring F-Zero back. Let's give them a new F-Zero game. The only reason I think they wouldn't do it at launch is because they're obviously going to prioritize Mario Kart. Mario Kart's the bigger deal. Mario Kart sells systems. It's the best-selling game on Switch. Obviously, we're going to get Mario Kart or Nintendo Kart, something like that. So that's February. That's all I got for February. March, we get more footage. My big problem is the Switch 2 lineup. I'll be honest, I've got 3 games where I'm like, they're going to launch with something big. But the question is, what big game do they launch with? Do they launch with Metroid Prime 4? Or do they save that? Or do they do that early? Does Metroid Prime... Because, right, I think it's going to be on both systems. But do they launch with Metroid Prime 4 at the same... Right, simultaneously, like they did with Breath of the Wild or Twilight Princess? Or does Metroid Prime 4 come out early and then get a Switch upgrade later on, like a few months later? I don't know. Like, if Metroid Prime 4 comes out in, like, March, and the Switch 2 launches in June, I think that would be okay. But if it's like, oh, Metroid Prime 4 is coming out in March, and the Switch 2 comes out in April, you might as well just put them on at the same time. But the problem with Metroid Prime is that statistically, historically, all the accolades, Metroid doesn't sell that well. Metroid Dread is the best-selling Metroid game, and it only sold 3.6 million units. I know that's still million, but when Mario Kart is selling 60 million, Breath of the Wild sold, I think, over 30, Mario Odyssey sold over 30, launching with a new Metroid, while it is hyped, I don't think that's the best idea. I think I could see you saving that one for June, maybe. Instead, I feel like the best option is to either launch with a new 3D Mario, because it's been a long time since the last 3D Mario, so I feel like you launch with that, or you launch with Mario Kart. If I was a betting man, I would say Mario Kart. Again, it's the best-selling game on Switch. It's been years since the last one. Yes, did Mario Kart 8 get a lot of DLC? That was really good, actually. Yes. Yes, it did. The DLC was fantastic. But it's been a long time. It's been a heck of a long time. I feel like it just kind of makes sense. Mario Kart 9. Call it Nintendo Kart. Hey, guess what? It's Smash Bros. But Mario Kart. I know some people don't like the Nintendo Kart idea. I think it's a good idea. I think the Nintendo Kart's a fun idea. That, you know, would get a lot of that, you know, have like a Zelda Cup. Have a Splatoon Cup. Have a Fire Emblem Cup. Have a Metroid Cup. I feel like there's a lot of different ideas there. Have an F-Zero Cup, right? Remake 4 classic F-Zero tracks. I feel like there's a lot of different ideas there. I love the idea of Nintendo Kart, but I don't think... It's either going to be that or it's going to be Mario Kart 9. I don't know which one, but it's going to be one or the other. It just kind of makes sense. And then, for a new Mario game, I really do feel like they might be doing open world Mario, right? Because, you know, Mario has, like, open world... Like, Mario Odyssey was open world levels, but they were still, like, just sandboxes, right? It wasn't fully open world. It was like Mario 64. I could see them... But then you had Bowser's Fury, which was just a fully open world Mario, right? You could go anywhere, do anything, kind of. There were some limitations, obviously. But I could see them going full open world 3D platformer. I have it in my notes as Super Mario Multiverse. I know some people are sick of the multiverse. I think Mario going around through the multiverse, fully open world, you can go to any multiversal world, you know, bring up a lot of references to classic Mario games, have a world inspired by, you know, the original. You get to go to Yoshi's Island, you get to go to some of the Mario 64 worlds, Isle Delfino. You know, basically just treat every past Mario game like its own universe. Have a Dr. Mario world, have a Paper Mario world. I don't know, have a Mario Kart world. I'm saying Mario Multiverse. I know people don't like Multiverse. But after Galaxy and Odyssey, where do you go next? Mario into the Multiverse makes a lot of sense. only 3/4 game. So that makes you buy, right? Or pan, I guess. Or ace? Demi-ace? I don't know. So yeah, I think we're gonna get one of those. I think I'm gonna guess the console releases in April. I think it's better to get it out earlier than later. I think getting April or May is more obvious than June. I think June is right. It's too close to E3. You've got other things going on. I feel like it's better to get it out earlier. Oh, he's wearing the original Splatoon 1 costume. Oh, I just realized that. Oh, that's cool. So I think getting it out, I'm gonna guess out of those 3-ish ideas, there may be other things rattling around, but you know, a 2D Mario just makes sense. I feel like it makes the most sense to do Nintendo Kart, or Mario Kart 9, or whatever they call it. Alright, so May, whichever one, right, if we get, let's say we get Nintendo Kart, I think they pull like a Brawl, or they pull a, I think it makes the most sense. Oh my god, I'm dying. I should not have opened that soda. I think it makes the most sense for Nintendo to pull a GameCube, right? They launched with a Luigi's Mansion, and then a month later they came, like, not even a month, it was like a few weeks later, they came out with Super Smash Bros. Launch with a Mario Kart, or actually, by that logic, it would make more sense to launch with a new Mario, and then a month later release your new Mario Kart. Back to back, get two bangers, two big selling, right, high selling games, right off the bat, one in one next to each other. I think that would really sell systems. I think that's a good idea. I think that makes sense. And you know what? I have another a proposition for sometime within the first 3 months. So we haven't heard anything about Silksong in a while. It's still in development. I think it's going to be a Switch 2 game. It might come to the original Switch as well, probably. Maybe. But I could see... So when the Switch released, they released, right, with Breath of the Wild. I don't even remember if Skyrim was a release date game. But they released with Breath of the Wild. But they also released with a few indie games. Specifically Snipper Clips and timed exclusivity on Spectre of Torment, the second Shovel Knight DLC. What if Nintendo was able to acquire Silksong exclusivity? Let's say timed year-long console exclusivity for Silksong for the Switch 2. That'd be a big fucking deal. Right? That'd be a big deal. It would matter a lot. Hey, Nintendo, we're the one console that has Silksong. Sure, it'll be on the PS4 or PS5, just not until next year. You want to play Silksong? You either play it on PC or you play it on our console. That would be such a big deal for Nintendo. And I could see them doing it. I could totally see them pulling it off. So maybe that's why we haven't heard anything about Silksong. I doubt it, but you know, I'm just bringing it out there. One of the big Switch launch titles was an indie game that was a timed console exclusive, at least for a while. I could see them doing that again. It's totally possible. I mean, also, I could literally also see them doing that with Shovel Knight DX. Right, we know the new version of Shovel Knight's coming out. I could see that releasing the same day as the Switch 2. Maybe not as a timed console exclusive, because I don't think they've talked about it as such. Right, like, that's one of the things you want to get on every system. But I could see it coming out the same day as the Switch 2. I feel like that would be a very good synergy move. Just being like, yeah, Nintendo is the best place to play Shovel Knight. We got Spectre of Torment first, and now they're getting Shovel of Hope DX first. Yeah, that's my crazy Silksong theory. It's not going to come true. Obviously, it's crazy for a reason. In June, we know we're getting a Pokemon game, right? Pokemon Legends EA. I feel like a lot of these... I think, you know... Because the weird thing about the Wii U was because the Wii U did so bad, Nintendo could just drop it without anybody caring. But now that they have a successful console, they kind of can't just drop it, right? They kind of have to support it, at least for a little bit. So it's just a question of what, right? Like, okay, Metroid Prime 4 would obviously come out on both. Pokemon, it's been announced, it might come out on both. But, like, is a new Mario game gonna come out on both? Right? Is a new Mario Kart gonna come out on both? I don't feel like either of those should come out on both. But then again, I mean, God of War Ragnarok was on PS4 and PS5. Horizon Forbidden West was on PS4 and PS5. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know at this point. I feel like Sony was a lot more even though Sony was in a much better position going into the from PS4 to PS5 than Nintendo was Wii U into Switch, right? I feel like there's definitely going to be some transition hesitancy. It's just a question of how much. I don't know. To be fair, Nintendo pretty quickly gets over it. But I think they quickly get over it because their previous console was a failure. Really, the only exception I can think of is the Wii, right? The Wii was pretty quickly dropped for the Wii U. Right? Like, Nintendo Land didn't come to the Wii. Pikmin 3 didn't come to the Wii. Mario Kart 8 didn't come to the Wii. Maybe, you know what? Maybe Nintendo will just straight up fully, like, maybe outside Metroid Prime will be the one crossover game, and everything else is dropped. Maybe even Pokemon Legends ZA is dropped. I don't know. There's also, I was talking about a March game. Pokemon Legends ZA could be a March game. I don't know. I would maybe expect to hear about it soon then, because we haven't really heard anything from it. And if it's coming out in March, that's 6 months. Or, yeah, that is a standard life cycle. But no, I can see it being a June game. I don't know. Normally Pokemon is a holiday game, right? Traditionally, Pokemon games come out in holidays, except for Legends Arceus, which came out in January. So literally anything is possible at this point. But I'm gonna predict Pokemon Legends ZA in June. It's gonna be on Switch 2. It might be on the original Switch. Who knows? I don't know. I would really hope that the Pokemon Company was kind of like, you know what? We know this new console's coming out. We're not gonna put the game on both systems because it's gonna run like shit on the old system. Because their current gen games run shit on the system they're currently on. It would just kind of make sense. But we'll see. So there's been, for July, there's been a rumor recently that Xenoblade Chronicles X is coming back. It's not a big rumor right now. I've been predicting Xenoblade Chronicles X for years now. It's the last Wii U game that, in my opinion, needs to be ported. Because I don't give a shit if Star Fox Zero is ported. I don't want Nintendo Land to be ported. But Xenoblade Chronicles X needs to be ported. I don't want that game to die on the Wii U. Especially because it ends on a cliffhanger and we need to know how that cliffhanger gets resolved. So there's been some rumors shaking around recently that, hey, we might get Xenoblade Chronicles X announced soon coming to Switch. And admittedly, I can also see that being a January, February, or March game. If Xenoblade Chronicles X is February's Nintendo game, I think that'd be perfectly fine. But get that running on Switch 2. Announce that, hey, the sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles X will be Switch 2 exclusive. Do something, right? That it's back, right? Xenoblade Chronicles X will be backwards compatible on the Switch, but it'll be the sequel will be Switch 2 exclusive. I don't know how you do it. There's got to be some way to do it. Because, yeah, I want, you gotta know. You gotta know what happens after that cliffhanger. And the fact that we went the entire... I mean, yes, we did get Xenoblade Chronicles 2, we got Torna, we got 3, and the reason why I'm predicting July is because 3 came out in July, very tail end of July. So if X comes out in July or August, I think that'd be fine. I mean, if we're following the Switch's release model, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 came out in December, but I don't think they're going to stick to it that closely. Next up, in August, I think whatever that new IP, Nintendo Dark Souls, as I keep calling it, or that IP revival, new F-Zero game, I think you put that out in August. In the original Switch lineup, this was where Mario plus Rabbids came out, which, was a perfectly fine game. So getting out a small, fine game in August, testing out a new IP, bringing back ARMS 2, whatever it turns out to be, I think that would make perfect sense, and I think that would fit in that August time slot. September, basically a year from today, I could see Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I think Wind Waker, right, everyone knows those ports exist somewheres. There's been so much talk about them. They never came out on Switch. What if they're just saving them for the Switch 2? Right? Nintendo has a rule that they have to, at least since Breath of the Wild, they want to get a Zelda game out every year. And they've done, it's like out of the 8 years, they've done it, 7 times? They only kind of missed once, and that's because Tears of the Kingdom took a while. Why they didn't put out Wind Waker or Twilight Princess during that one kind of weird year, I have no idea. But I could see that. The other thing I could see is, with the new Zelda coming out, Echoes of Wisdom, right? There's a lot of talk on, right, how Zelda's new playstyle and how you can explore this open world, go anywhere, do anything. Basically 2D Breath of the Wild. What if they take the logical extension of that? And what if we finally get that Zelda Dungeon Maker everybody wants? Right? Because after Mario Maker came out, a lot of people were like, hey, we should get a Zelda Maker. Wouldn't a Zelda Maker be pretty cool? Because I don't think we're getting a Mario Maker 3. Supposedly, allegedly, internally, Nintendo considers Mario Maker 2 a failure. Even though it was a really good game that still sold like a few million units, Nintendo considers that game a failure. They expected it to be bigger than it actually was, and I don't think we're getting a Mario Maker 3. But I could see them taking their hand at like, hey, let's do a Zelda Maker. People want it. There's a good idea in there somewheres. I think it would just kind of make sense. Let people use the original Zelda art style, the new Link's Awakening art style, the Link to the Past art style, and then maybe revive the Minish Cape art style. I like the Minish. I'd rather have the new Link's Awakening over the original Link's Awakening and the... What's it called? What's Link's Awakening and the Oracle Games art style? Right, I'd rather have the new one. And then, yeah, just have... I would say Minish Cap. I'd rather have Minish Cap over... Even though I love Link Between Worlds, I bet Minish Cap's pixel art has aged better. Yeah, just give us a 2D Zelda. You can make Zelda dungeons. There's a bunch of pre-made dungeons. Maybe you can do some overworld stuff, and like you can because one of the great things Mario Maker 2 did that they only did at the very end of that game's life cycle is they allowed you to make your own worlds. Basically, you could recreate your own Mario game and all the worlds. You could do a world map. Really neat, really fancy. I would love to see a Zelda Maker have something like that, where you could create your own world map. You could do everything under the sun. That'd be very neat, be very fun. I don't know how far they could take it, obviously, like there are certain limitations. But I think Link's Awakening messed around with the Zelda Dungeon Maker. Like, they, prototyped it. But if I'll be honest, it wasn't. It was just kind of... It was repetitive, because it wasn't as free as you'd like it to be. I feel like there's a way to do it that's interesting, that's fun. But they'll have to figure that out. But that's another possibility. I could see that coming later on down the line. But I just kind of want to throw it out there just in case. October, it's been a while since we got a last Kirby game. I mean, Kirby Return to Dreamland Deluxe was last January or February. I know we had that Kirby 3D cake game, Kirby Balls. But that was a very small game in June. So I could see us getting a new Kirby. It'd be really cool if we got, the follow-up or the sequel to Forgotten Lands. I'd love to see another 3D Kirby game, especially after playing Astrobot, which, again, Astrobot reminds me of Kirby and the Forgotten Lands in a lot of different ways. I would love to see a new Kirby game, but I would take a remake of any of them, honestly. I would love a port of Planet Robobot / Triple Deluxe. I'd want both games together, but honestly, if they just gave me Planet Robobot, I'd be fine. I want Planet Robobot over Triple Deluxe. Triple Deluxe is fine. Planet Robobot is fantastic. It's maybe the best game in the franchise. I'd also take a port. I would love Amazing Mirror and Squeak Squad, because Amazing Mirror is an open world game. It's a 2D platformer that is open world. You can fight the bosses in basically any order. It's actually really neat and very ahead of its time if you've ever played it. I would love to see that get revived. Right, so a remake of Amazing Mirror, and then you might as well just remake Squeak Squad. Squeak Squad is Amazing Mirror, but boring, but, you know, less well-designed. It's not boring, I actually really like Squeak Squad. It's just not as interesting, right? Like, the level design is super simple. It's not nearly as creative as, Amazing Mirror, but it's still fun. I mean, man, some of those I love Bubble. Bubble has a power-up, Ghost has a power-up. The Squeak Squad themselves are very fun characters. That'd be cool to see again. And you definitely could not remake Squeak Squad on its own. There's just not enough there. Other than that, I still think if you're gonna do a sequel to Forgotten Lands, just put Kirby in the Dark Souls world. Someone once made the joke, I think it was John Cartwright, that all you have to do is just put Kirby in the Dark Souls world. All the enemies are the same, all the characters are same. The only difference is Kirby is the protagonist. And that would be amazing, right? If Forgotten Lands was all about Kirby in like a city, putting Kirby in like a dark, bleak medieval era would be so fucking cool. Kirby Dark Souls, man. Trust me, it's an amazing idea. They just have to do it. I don't know if they will do it, but it's a fantastic idea. Just trust me. Just trust me on this one. So I could see Kirby. You know what else I could see potentially around this time? So there's the question of, are they going to port Splatoon 3? Or, you know, just give it an upgrade? Or are we going to get a Splatoon 4? I know, this game's just ending. But within a year, we might get Splatoon 4. I know there was what, 2 or 3 years between Splatoon 2 end and Splatoon 3 start. So, you know, you think they might wait a year or two after, you know, give Splatoon 3 some time, you know, maybe do a port to the Switch 2 that adds in the third kits, maybe add in a like stage or two, do another year of Splatfest. I could see them doing something like that to, you know, drum up a Switch 2 audience. But I could also just see them going to Splatoon 4. Right? This weekend, we are going to decide, is Splatoon 4 going to be about the past, the present, or the future? We're going to figure that out right now. And, you know, if Team Past wins, they remake Splatoon 1. If Team Present wins, they just port this game. And if Team Future wins, they make Splatoon 4. I mean, sadly, anything is possible. You didn't even take up his bait. So yeah, anything's possible there. We'll talk. I have some ideas for porting old games. We'll talk about here in a second. November. Hey, maybe this is where the Mario game is. I don't know. I think it'd be smartest to start with a Mario game. It'd be weird if they didn't. I don't think Metroid Prime 4 is a full year away. I know Metroid Dread was an October release. I cannot see Metroid Prime 4 being that same October-November release. I think they'd have something else for the holiday season. I just have no idea what. I hope there's a big surprise for the holiday season. There might not be, right? They might push all their games early, which is kind of what it felt like they were leading up to. But we'll just have to wait and see. And then in December, you give us a JRPG. Nintendo loves to push out JRPGs in December, be that Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Super Mario RPG Remake. I would say we get another Mario RPG, but we've kind of gone through all 3 of the major types of Mario RPG in the past year alone, so I don't think they can do that. I think the next logical thing would be to bring back either Earthbound or Golden Sun. A Golden Sun remake would go pretty hard because, you know, it's been dead for a long time. Giving that a December revival would be neat, you know. They brought back Famicom Detective Club and made a new game for that. They can make a new Golden Sun. Or, you know, just remake Earthbound. You're remaking a bunch of classic RPGs right now, Nintendo. Earthbound is one of the classicists. Oh, God, remake Chrono Trigger for the 3rd time. Oh, wow, that'll go so well this time. It's possible, actually. Literally anything's possible. Give us fucking Xenosaga or Xenogears. Oh, that'd be so clever. I'd honestly take anyone. If we get Earthbound, we get Earthbound. If we take Golden Sun, yeah, I'll be there for Golden Sun. And I feel like that basically covers all the new stuff. Right, Nintendo. I think that's a pretty liberal first. That's a pretty liberal first year. I know at best half of that will happen, but right? The rumor is that Nintendo has delayed the Switch 2 several times because they want it to have a strong first year. So I really hope that all those delays have paid off, and we are going to get a strong first year. I think that would just make logical sense. But we'll have to see. I don't know. I tried to match things up with the original Switch's release year, which had a lot of great things as well. Like, I really feel like my only stretch here is like this is the Kirby game. Other than that, I feel like everything else here is basically on parity with what we got in the original Switch's year. So after that, other things I would potentially expect to see. So I think it makes sense on the Switch 2 for them to bring current gen Switch games onto Switch 2 with basically upgrades. You know how if you buy a PS4 version of a game, you can get the PS5 upgrade for an extra $10. I could see Nintendo doing that exact same thing. Hey, do you have the current gen version of Smash Bros. Ultimate? Pay an extra $10 and you can get the Switch 2 version now with better netcode. How much better? Barely. But hey, better is better. Because Nintendo has changed their netcode. Right, Splatoon 2 was the first Nintendo game to get new netcode. How well does that new netcode work? But they did do it, so anything's possible. You always want that, what is it, peer-to-peer? I can't remember what good netcode is called. You always dream of having that good netcode. Nintendo's clearly not going to do that. I do fully bet, though, they're going to bring back Nintendo Switch Online. And you know what might be I talk about new additions to Nintendo Switch Online. What might be a good one is if they're going to write, it's old games from the original Switch that you can buy, the Switch 2 version of, or you can pay $10 for the upgrade. What if instead of paying $10 for the upgrade, they just include that upgrade as part of Nintendo Switch Online? Where it's hey, every month we're upgrading a new game. Hey, it's Switch launch month? Guess what? If you have Tears of the Kingdom and you have Nintendo Switch Online, you can play the upgraded version of Tears of the Kingdom. Of course, they also charge you $10 on the side, but I think including it as part of Nintendo Switch Online would be a very logical thing that I think would get them a lot of... Right? Because there are some games that people are I have that game on Switch. I don't think I'm going to replay it. Right? So they probably would never do that. But they might subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online for something else. And then do that anyways. Or, right, that could be the moment that convinces people to switch over. Or, I don't know. I feel like there's something there to putting these upgrades behind Nintendo Switch Online. Because, right, I know PlayStation gave some of these upgrades away for free for a while. So Nintendo being oh yeah, they're part of Nintendo. They're not free, but they're part of Nintendo Switch Online would be a very Nintendo compromise that I could see them doing. Games that I think would get updates. I've got a massive list here. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Right, they run fine. I think both games run fine on Switch 2 or on Switch, honestly. I know some people have had a lot of problems. Personally, none of my problems with them have really ever bothered me. So I think porting them onto Switch 2 and just being hey, look how much better they run. I would go more for consistency over graphical improvement. But I think that would be really cool. Getting Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom at a consistent 60 frames per second. 4K would be cool. Smash Ultimate, obviously... I don't think we're getting a new... I do not think during the Switch 2's lifespan, we are going to get a new Smash Bros. Game. Just re-release Smash Ultimate, better netcode, call it a day. I feel like that's just the best solution. Mario Odyssey... I don't really think Mario Odyssey needs it, but I could see them just doing it. Because I think the best way to do, right, on top of them just putting it on Nintendo Switch Online, I could see them, you know how currently Nintendo Switch Online gets an update where it's like, hey, this is the new games for Nintendo Switch Online for August. We've added the Starfy games. Oh, here's the new games for September. We added, I don't know, what's something dumb? Fire and Ice, right? They add a new game every month. I could see them being like that with the Switch 2 upgrades, where it's like, yeah, here, you know, this month it's Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Next month it's Mario Kart or Mario Odyssey and Luigi's Mansion 3. You know, just the small little upgrades that, you know, if you want to buy them, you can, but if you don't, you don't. Right? This is basically the equivalent of Wii U ports. But, you know, it's for games people already have. They're not making a fuss out of them. They're putting digital versions up, but there are no, like, new physical boxes. I think that's the other smart way. Or maybe, I could see, like, a select few, like, Smash Ultimate and Tears of the Kingdom getting new physical boxes. But I definitely don't think you would give, like, a new box for Mario Odyssey. I think that would just be dumb. Animal Crossing, definitely. I do think the Switch 2 is definitely going to get a new Animal Crossing. I just don't know if it's going to be at launch or if it's going to wait a year or two. I definitely think, right, the fact that Animal Crossing was such a phenomenon, the fact that it sold so well, Nintendo should definitely capitalize off that, and I think that'd be a good, you know, thing to sell people on the Switch 2 in its first year, but I could also see them saving that to be a second-year game. Just being like, hey, we had a great first year with Mario, now here's a second year with Animal Crossing, here's a third year with Splatoon, and then here's a fourth year with a big, new, massive open-world Zelda game. Or, you know, some other big thing. You know, maybe they do Twilight Princess 2. Wind Waker 2, now with more trains. Actually, would I hate a Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks remake? I don't think if they fix the Tower of the Ocean King, and if they make a few other changes, I actually don't think I'd hate a Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks remake. I don't know, they're weird games, man. That I kind of do want to play again, just because I'm so rusty on them. That's a whole thing. Splatoon 3, again, I think it makes obvious, right, do the new version, add in the third kits, and maybe add in a stage or two, or something else special like that. However they decide to do it, it makes sense. Do another year of Splatfest, and just call it a day. Because I feel like adding new Splatfests and new big runs doesn't actually take that much development time compared to, you know, adding in new weapons, new, you know, kits, new stages. I feel like that takes up way more time. But what do I know, man? Scarlet and Violet, one of the original rumors about, right, that led people to think that the Switch 2 exists, is someone who supposedly worked on developing a port of Scarlet and Violet for Switch 2. Admittedly, that rumor was like a year ago now, so it's been a long time. But I could totally see Scarlet and Violet getting just a graphical upgrade. Not a big graphical upgrade, obviously, just make it run a little better. That'd be a cool get. You know what our you know how I said Nintendo doesn't have a December game? Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. There you go. December game. It's an RPG. That should happen this year. Just put it on Nintendo Switch Online. You don't have to make a big deal about it or anything. It's just, hey, want to play Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald again? Well, here's your chance. Because, God, those games are fun, and sadly, for some reason, Nintendo refuses to bring them back. And I don't get it. I already said Luigi's Mansion. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, I could see getting an upgraded version. You know, it runs better, it looks a little bit better. I think the original game runs fine, obviously, but, you know, you never know. Metroid Dread, same thing. You know, same thing with, I'd honestly wouldn't be, same thing with the Metroid Prime 1. Right, they already kind of did that one again. So I think doing Metroid Prime 1 again. You know, another re-release of Metroid Prime 1, backwards compatible. Metroid Dread. Dread's a great game. Giving that an upgrade would be cool. Fire Emblem. I would, honestly, between Fire Emblem Three Houses and, the one with toothpaste head guy and girl, right, Colgate head or whatever they're called. I honestly cannot remember the name of the game. Free Hopes was a different thing. Not Shadows of Valencia. That's a 3DS one. That's a remake of an original one. Whatever the one with Toothpaste Head is called. I honestly cannot remember. I think it would also make sense for that game to get a remake, or for that one to get a Switch port. Either that one, I honestly think, because Three Houses is more popular, they do that one first. Pikmin 4, I'm still kind of amazed Pikmin 4 never got any DLC or anything. I mean, it was a very complete game. I'll give them that. Like, they stuffed that game full of stuff. I would have loved some DLC, man. That would have been very fun. Give us the Right, we got the Olimar quest, that's a remake of Pikmin 1. Give us the Louis quest, that's a remake of Pikmin 2. That would have been neat. Just, you know, don't make a big deal, right? It's just basically Olimar and Louis revisiting caves and from the story mode. But, you know, maybe add back in some Pikmin 2 enemies and, you know, make them difficult. Have the big thing being like, hey, this is the difficulty DLC. You're Olimar and Louis, maybe even the president shows up. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not Olimar and Louis. Maybe it's the president, you and the president, and boom, it's difficulty. It's all about being difficult and, you know, killing you and bomb rocks and creating Doriji bugs and Gatling Gorgs are back. Oh, that'd be mean. Mario Wonder, same thing. Just, you know, make it run a little bit better, put it in 4K. Yeah, I think come out 1 or 2 every month, you know, for the first year. I wouldn't do it past the first year, but I think the first year would make sense. And yeah, $10 for an upgrade, or Nintendo Switch Online. I feel like the Nintendo Switch Online thing actually makes a lot of sense, but we'll see what they do. Any miscellaneous stuff, like I said, I could see a new Animal Crossing something. We never got a Tomodachi Life game on Nintendo Switch, and I don't think that's going to be a February or a March game. I just don't think that's as much as people want that. I don't think it's happening. Maybe on Switch 2, but I don't think that would be a year 1 thing. But it could be. Mario. I had Mario Sports game written down. Usually we don't get a Mario Sports game until year 2. Like like Mario Tennis came out in year 2. I could see us getting another Mario Tennis in year 2 of the Switch 2. Or I'd much rather prefer a Mario Baseball. Right? I really hope they don't just revisit the same wells that they did for the Switch. That instead of just like, oh, here's another Mario Tennis, here's a Mario Golf. Oh, hey, now we're going to do a baseball instead of a soccer this time. Do new stuff. I want new stuff all around, right? Start off with a baseball. That'd be nice. Like I said earlier, a third-party IP, or a third-party studio or an indie studio using a Nintendo IP. That'd be very cool. You know, give the developers of Bugsnax the rights to make a Rhythm Heaven game. They blow your socks off. I don't know why those were the first two. That was the first gaming developer I could name. And then the other thing I could see is, you know, Nintendo likes to launch all their consoles, at least all their, all their consoles with a game that shows off the hardware. You know, Nintendo Switch Sports. Wii Sports, obviously. Nintendo Land, 1-2 Switch. I feel like that the Switch, right, if the Switch 2 has some sort of new fancy gimmick, again, the dual screen thing, or, you know, they have the new adaptive triggers, I could see them doing something like that. I don't think it'll be anything as good as, you know, Astro's Playroom or Wii Sports, right? I feel like those two things are kind of magic in a bottle that you can't really recapture. I know we just got a new Astrobot game, but you get my point, right? Like, that's... like, yeah. Honestly, Nintendo Land was also pretty good. I feel like Nintendo Land showed off the Wii U gamepad extremely well. Does Nintendogs count? Because Nintendogs kind of did that for the DS. Like, it really did do a good job at showing off the DS. And yeah, that's all the Switch 2 predictions I got. I do think, I don't know if it's happening this month or next month. I definitely think it's happening sooner rather than later. I've seen some people, probably Arlo, say that it's not going to happen until January. I feel like because, right, Arlo says it's not going to happen until January because of the holiday season. That they don't want to announce the new console because they still want the old console to sell. I think if you announce the new console, put the old console on sale, put the old console in a bundle, however you make it work, I feel like there's a way to do it that'll sell old consoles while getting people excited for the new console. There's definitely a happy medium there. They just gotta walk it. And, I mean, like, yeah, they weren't trying to... I mean, Nintendo was still technically trying to sell Wii U's when they announced the Switch, so... I don't know, I've seen some people freak out about it. I don't think it's as big of a deal as some people are making out of it. And yeah, that's all my Switch 2 predictions. I don't know how many that was, but that was a bunch. So yeah, we'll see if any of that comes true. I could totally be 1000% wrong about everything. Nintendo might just pull a PS5, launch the console, have one decent game, and then do nothing for the next 3 years, and then announce a pro version for $700. You never know. Honestly, for me, the big point of contention is just, is it gonna have a gimmick? I feel like the best move is just do the Switch again. Switch but better. But Nintendo loves their gimmicks. Now, if the gimmick is VR, the other thing I can see is VR. Nintendo loves a good gimmick. VR is kind of the new hotness. Like, we're not entirely there yet, but we're working on it. So I could see Nintendo being like, hey, here's, you know, the new Switch. There's this VR headset peripheral, right? Joy-Cons have, like, little lights in them that allow them to be, like, easily tracked by this new headset. I could see them honestly waiting a year. Like, they show it off early on, but are like, yeah, this isn't coming for, like, another year, right? This is just something you will be able to do one day. And then be like, hey, here's a new Mario game. Here's Mario 64 Sandbox, where you're like a god overlooking the Mario 64 world. But you're also like controlling Mario, and you get to like move the sandbox around. You know, I don't know. I don't know how they do it. They do something clever with VR. Right, Nintendo makes their Half-Life Alyx, but it's a Zelda game. That'd be cool. If that's the gimmick, I'd be okay with that gimmick. But I don't know if that's actually what they're going to do. So yeah, that's all I got for Nintendo Switch 2 predictions. At least that I can think of. If I continue to think of stuff in the coming weeks, we'll keep adding stuff. So WIBE, what have I been doing? Astrobot, I have not beaten it. Honestly, I did the next world. I did a little bit of that. Had some fun with that. And, right, you know, went to the hot springs, became a bubble, or became a sponge that, you know, got filled with bubbles. I met the giant robot Big Brother from the virtual reality game, Astrobot's Rescue Mission. That was really cool. That was a cool reference that I think I'd seen was going to be in the game, but it was like, oh, that's cool to find. So I had fun with that. Beat the World 3 boss. Got stuck on one of the stupid, I think it was one of the circle levels for like 20 minutes because I just sucked. Yeah, there's the roll. Again, comparing it to Mario Galaxy. You know how Mario Galaxy has those like 2 or 3 rolling ball levels where you're in like a ball that has a star in it? Yep, this game has the exact same thing. Admittedly, it's a lot easier to control than Mario Galaxy because you don't have to like tilt a Wiimote or anything. But yeah, those exist in this game. Again, it reminds me of Mario Galaxy and Kirby and the Forgotten Land. So those are 2 good games. Yeah, no, I've been really enjoying it. I've been really busy this week. I have not played nearly as much as I wanted to. There's like a dozen other games I need to play as well. Because What the Car, a few years ago, the developers of What the Golf made, for Apple Arcade, they made a game called What the Car. It's been on Apple Arcade for, you know, a while now. It finally is getting ported to PC, and it came out on, I think, Monday. And all week I was like, you know, I should pick up that and play that. And I just haven't. Yeah, I just got so distracted that I never got around to it. No, I didn't buy it either, but yeah. So outside of Astrobot, I haven't been playing. I did play a little Splatoon, you know, if you noticed at the start, right, we're wearing different shoes, we're wearing a different hat, that's gonna have, that here in a moment, hopefully we'll have all 3, okay, it's probably not, have all 3, ink resistances. Oh, shoot, we did actually do that. Wow, I did not think, it looked like they had way more of the center. Yeah, it should hopefully have all 3 ink resistances. I know all 3 ink resistances isn't great, but, like, hey, you know, I did it. I did it. I didn't have it already in my weird variety of gears. I did not have all 3 ink resistances. Yeah, see? It's a weird hat, but whatever. You know, I wanted to rep something from our, you know, our idols. So yeah, but yeah, I played a little Splatoon. I played a few other small things. Nothing too important. I'm still in the mood to play some Mario Party. I know that Mario Party Jamboree comes out in like a month, but I still do want to play some. I'll probably just go watch another Chilled Chaos stream. Or has Smitty put out anything recently? They've been playing. So there's a new game called Dale and Dawson's Paper Company or something like that. It's one of those hidden role games, but set in The Office, right? The TV show The Office. And, you know, there's a slacker who's trying to, you know... I'm not entirely sure how the win conditions. Like, there's a bar on the top that makes no sense, because, like, sometimes it's moving more towards slacker, right? It's clear that slackers have non-slacker tasks, and non-slackers have slacker tasks. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but, you know, it's a funny game. I watched Smitty play it. His video was okay. Then I watched the Yogscast play it and had a lot more fun with that one. I think RT Games played it as well and on stream, and I did not get around to watching that. Or if he's not, he's going to be, right? They announced that they're going to be doing that soon. That sounds very fun. Yeah, so, and I love that the acronym, because it's right, you're role-playing as if you're in the office. So I love that the acronym works out to D&D. I just think that's kind of funny. But yeah, so that was a thing that I watched a few people play. I'm sure I watched some other random interesting YouTube video that I can't think of. Scrap Mechanic got a new update that adds new that changes how destruction physics work and how vehicles fall apart, and, you know, trying to, like, mess around with those physics, see what can happen, see what happens if you take 2 vehicles traveling at the speed of sound and crash them into each other. You get, like, a giant, like, gong sound. So yeah, anything else? I can't think of anything else I played. Non-video game playing stuff. So we tried, I got 3 food things. The first one is, so last week, right, I showed off my Oreo flavored Coke. It was actually fine, and I think those tiny cans actually work pretty well for the Oreo flavored Coke. Right, because it's not so much that you're, like, overwhelmed. It's just the small enough amount where it's like, yeah, that was fine. You know, it wasn't too much, but it wasn't too little either. I actually, for all the, like, I've never liked a Coke Zero, and especially, right, I did not have high expectations for Oreo flavored Coke. It's actually perfectly fine. But since then, right, there's Oreo flavored Coke. What about the Coke flavored Oreos? I was able to find some, and they smell like Coke. Like, smelling the Coke flavored Oreos is like you're popping a can of Coke, right? It's got that exact same smell. They taste, right, they taste kind of similar-ish to, you know, the soda. I do think I prefer the soda more. I did not realize because, you know, they try to imitate the carbonation in soda by putting popping candy inside the Oreos. I think popping candy Oreos are okay. I've had, right, I think the first time they did it was firework Oreos, and those were fine. They weren't anything special, but they were fine. And yeah, these, like, they're okay. I just didn't expect them, so they caught me off guard. But I don't hate them. Yeah, no, I don't think I'd get them again. I probably wouldn't get the Oreo flavored Coke either. But, you know, it's important to try it. That's kind of what matters. And I thought it was fine. We totally lost that. The other thing I tried was of course, Mountain Dew Baja Blast Gelato. I don't know. I'm assuming by this point it's been out for like a week and a half now, if not 2 weeks. There's no way it hasn't sold out. It's you know, it's $4. You get a tiny little tub of gelato. It's okay. It's not anything spectacular. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It is perfectly serviceable. Would I get it again? Maybe. Like, I feel like, you know, the lemon lime flavor of Baja Blast works good in a gelato, right? I'm pretty sure I've had, like, a lemon gelato or a lime gelato before. Yeah, it's perfectly serviceable. How well has it held up after a week? I don't know. But, you know, it is a thing that exists that I have tried. Woo! And then the third thing I tried, Sonic Burger, you know, lovable Sonic Burger, has their new, they have not chili cheese fries. They have, right, so Sonic Burger earlier this year put out their groovy fries, which are, you know, just a new type of fry. I thought they were okay. But they have cheese fries, and then they have like cheese and bacon fries, and spicy cheesy fries or whatever. I like cheese and bacon on fries. Jack in the Box, like every year or so, at least once a year, will do like a cheesy bacon fry. That's usually pretty good, at least for Jack in the Box standards. So I was like, yeah, I'll try these out. And yeah, honestly, I'd compare them to Jack in the Box right there. It's cheesy, it's bacony, it's pretty salty. It's, you know, a great flavor combination. They're perfectly serviceable. Kind of like Jack in the Box. I do wish there were more of them. That's kind of that's my one problem with getting, like, loaded fries, is unless you're getting them as, like, a main dish, I just feel like there's never enough. Like, they always put, like, if you order, like, it's, like, the same as, like, a small fry. Whereas, you know, normally I get, like, a medium or something. That may not be an exact number, obviously, but it always feels like it's just not enough. Or, you know, they don't put enough bacon or enough cheese on it. Wendy's. Wendy's is usually the one for me where I'm like... Outside, they did truffle fries once, which were really good, but their Baconator fries just aren't anything that special. But no, these were fine, right? They're cheesy, they're salty, they're exactly what you'd expect. And you know what? They did their job. I didn't expect much more from them. They delivered, and that's kind of all I can ask for from Sonic Burger, a place that I do not like their food from. Right? I really don't care for Sonic Burger food. I literally only go there for the drinks, because they have some, God, a cherry limeade is so good. So, and that's exactly why I got it. I went there for a cherry limeade, and was like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, I'll try this out. And it was good. Anything else? I know Jack in the Box is doing new stuff next week. They've got a new ube shake. They're bringing back like their monster tacos, which are just giant like tacos. I don't hate Jack in the Box tacos. Like for like $1 for 2 tacos. Okay, it used to be $1 for 2 tacos. I bet it's now $2 for 2 tacos. They're cheap. They're affordable. I don't hate Jack in the Box. The monster tacos are just bigger versions of that. So yeah, I'm not really excited for that. And then they've got a witch shake, which is like ube flavored. That might not be bad. I don't know if they've done an ube flavored shake before, because I feel like I've seen them do a witch shake, but I just don't remember it being ube, but it might have been. So yeah. I think that's it. I did not get around to seeing Beetlejuice. I will. I need to rewatch the first one. I think part of the reason why I haven't gotten around to watching it is because I need to rewatch the first one. And I just can't bring myself around to watching the first one. Not that I love the first one, man. Like, it was my grandfather's favorite movie. So, of course, I have very soft spot for it. It was one of his favorites. So, yeah, of course I have a soft spot for it. My mother loves that movie. And I just haven't, and I need to go see the new one. Transformers comes out. I've heard nothing but great things about Transformers. I'll get around to it, okay? I was one of the few, when that first trailer came out, everyone was like, this is the worst thing in the world. And I was like, that looks perfectly fine. And sure enough, it looks perfectly fine. I Yeah, no, supposedly the movie's great. Sure, does it spit in the face of the previous Transformers lore? Yeah, but guess what? I'm not too attached to the previous Transformers lore. Sue me, okay? So yeah, I think that's all we've got today. I can't think of anything else, but you never know. Oh wait, I meant menu. First rank up. The next battles. Okay, whatever. Alright, let's hit up... Okay, let's go to the outro. And let's hit up some of these vending machines, shall we? I've been saving up my splat shells for now, so we got 19 pulls. I don't know if we're gonna get anything good from these 19 pulls, but you know what? Fuck it, let's find out. Okay, we're starting off with a splash tag. Oh yeah, let's get 19 pulls. Okay. Oh, nice. 10 of each ability chunk. I've got over 100 of some of the ability chunks. I've gotten that multiple times, and I just don't really use ability chunks that much. So that's a great pull. Ooh. Okay. I like the green on that one. So my splash tag currently is Salty Octarian. Once I got the Salty Octarian splash tag, I have never changed it. Like, I've gotten so many new things, and I have never changed it. Gutsy Salmon Runner. Toon Lovin'. Actually, that does kind of fit me. We've got a pack of cards. I think someone might have just liked our bronze bowl. Drink ticket. A drink ticket. A Sammy ticket. Or I guess that's a wrap. Drink ticket. Sammy. Some decorate. Was that the Great Zapfish? I zoomed by that real quick. Was that the Great Zapfish? Awesome. That's funny. Alright, and I think this is our last pull. New swimmer. There's so many that I don't know if this thing can give you repeats, or if that's just the first... I'm surprised we didn't have new before this. It's actually kind of surprising. Score. Oh yeah, and someone did give me a fresh. Alright, let's go hit up the shops or something. I don't know, we'll figure it out. If I can remember which buttons do what. We'll figure it out. And we'll go listen to a little bit more music and then we'll end off. Hey, you got anything for me? No. Oh, you have a Ninja Squid shirt that I somehow don't have. You've got nothing, and you should have some stuff for me. First part of the ship, good chunk of money. I think this is the most money I've ever had. Yeah, 8,000 is the most money I have ever had. That kind of blows me away, because there have been times where I've just been broke. Just so unbelievably broke. And that 8,000 is kind of a crazy pull for me. I would love to break 1 million, but we'll see about that. Okay, so that's recon. Yeah, I'm assuming we're just here for the next 2 days. I am curious to see what's going to change at because we could have done tri-battles this entire time and we just didn't. But I know that's going to change some stuff. Are these people we fought against? Is that why? Because I recognize Riddler. Oh. I'm surprised we don't have a Mr. Grizz. Like, where's Judd and Little Judd? Like, I feel like they would be such obvious people to have out here. And yet, nothing. Oh, yeah. I don't know any song's name. Okay, not that one. I think that's Wave. Because clearly all what the jellies do all match up with something else. That's got to be bounce. Yeah, this really is like going to Burning Man, isn't it? So yeah, anything I gotta say at the end here? Should we do like a retrospective of Splatoon 3? Because I know I've been joking a long time that, oh, after today the game dies. Right? That after the Splatfest, we kind of all just disappear and we never play it again. And yeah, there's an element of that that's like, well, that is a joke. It's not entirely a joke. Right? Like, there is an element of truth behind that joke. That clearly, like, once, you know, we're done here, that's kind of it. But I do think of course, I think we'll be back. We're, you know, as always, when Splatoon 2 ended, we started messing around with a few other games. We're obviously going to do something similar here. We're going to mess around with a few other games. I've already joked about us going back to Fall Guys. We're probably going to do that at least once. We were going to do Astrobot this week, because I thought the Splatfest was next week, but no, it turns out it's this week. So we're probably going to do Astrobot next week, or we're just not going to do anything at all. Again, maybe I'll save it for the Game of the Year stuff. I don't know. But no, I know this game has plenty of problems. Bad map design, terribly designed specials. Don't get me wrong, this game is far from perfect. But man, did I have so much fun with it. Just coming here every week, playing it. I mean, we're up to what, level 60 something? Whereas I think in the previous game, we only got to 30. Right. We're doing a lot better in this one. I played it a lot more. I've had a lot more fun with it. I've tried out new... Right. In the previous game, we only used the Splooshomatic. In this game, we used plenty of new weapons. Had fun with a lot of different things. Admittedly, once I found the Tri-Slosher, I just kind of only used the Tri-Slosher. Right, we used the roller a little bit today. I used the, I used the, what's it called? The, oh, this song. Might actually be a perfect one then. I use, what's the toothbrush? The, Stamper. The DLC was a lot of fun. Side Order, I do kind of wish there was a little more to Side Order, right? Like, I feel like the fact that there's only, like, 5 types of rooms kind of sucked, but I still did really enjoy it. At some point, I have to go back and do the Perfect Challenge, because we never did do that. I tried it once or twice, but I never did actually do it. Right, seeing all the old characters again was fun. The original story mode is pretty good, because we also did do that as well. Right, all the amiibos. The new idols are great, right? Really, I think what makes... I realized this in 2. What makes me like the idols is seeing them in the story. Because in Splatoon 1, yeah, the idols are there, and they get mentioned a few times, but they don't actually really do anything until the very end. Splatoon 2 put much more focus on them, and then the Octo expansion gave Pearl and Marina a story. And now, right, in Splatoon 3, Callie and Marie had a bigger plot point, and Deep Cut were the main antagonists for at least a little bit. They were the boss fights, and they were a lot of fun to fight, and because of that, I really like all 3 of these characters. Right, if Deep Cut is our future, I think we're in good hands. Right, if that's what they represent, you know, I said all that stuff at the very beginning about Inklings and Octarians getting together, which is exactly what this game is, right? It's Inklings and Octarians are able to get together, you know, the racism of the past. While it still may exist, it's a lot different than it was. Yeah. But I don't regret choosing Team Present, because it is a gift. And yeah, we honestly, tonight started terribly. I think we lost like 5 of our first 6 matches. But, you know, we got a little better as time went on. We won, what, 2 or 3 times X battles? And I'm probably going to get to the top rank, right, to get to ruler rank. I think it's just that. But it's weird that this one doesn't stay. Yeah, anything else I gotta say about the death of Splatoon 3? Do I think we're getting Splatoon 4 next year? Honestly, anything. I mean, Call of Duty was a yearly franchise, and they're like the one big shooter, was/is a yearly franchise. Other crazier stuff has happened. So that's totally possible. But no, I'm glad we got to do the full year. I really am glad we did that. Yeah, God, just imagine a Switch app that had every Splatoon song in it. And you could just create a Splatoon playlist with all your favorite songs, and that'd be so much fun. Alright, we'll do one more track. You know, gotta get R3 in there. Gotta get our team reppin', you know, save the best for last, hopefully. You can find the full track list on Twitter, right? They go in order, clearly, and you can find the full list on Twitter. Ooh, what's this? Okay, nothing important. I'm ready to go to bed. It's been a long day. But we'll do one more song. Oh, the guitar! Yeah, they're really busting out all the... We got here at the perfect time for them to bust out all the classics. It might be set up that way, that every time you return to the lobby, it resets. I don't know, but yeah. Yes, did I pick Team Present because of the meme? Yes. Does this change the fact that they're still my favorite idols? No. Would I have picked them if it was a different theme? Probably still. I just love them so much. And I love their new outfits as well. We didn't do amiibo. Is the amiibo thing around here? We'll check it. We'll check real... After this, we will check real quick to see if the amiibo thing is around here somewhere. And you know what's funny? I said, right, we act like, oh yeah, you know, whichever team wins will be the, will be, like, the idol group in the next Splatoon game. I hope they give us somebody entirely new. Right? I think the best idea that I've seen is they should, right, Splatoon idols have been based on many different things. You know, someone said they should do a K-pop group. Or, I guess, a J-pop group. I think that'd be really interesting. A K-pop, like, group of, like, 4. Like, you know, like Blackpink or something, or, I don't know, something like that. I think that would be really interesting. I think that'd be a lot of fun, right? And specifically, I know it's a Japanese company. Japan and Korea haven't always gotten along. You can argue they still don't. But I think doing it, specifically styling them after K-pop, would be very good. And have the next, right? Because Splatoon 1 is based off of Japan, obviously. Right? Tokyo Tower and all that. Splatoon 2 is based on New York. Splatoon 3 is also based on Japan, question mark? I know the Eiffel Tower is right over there. I'm pretty sure, though, it's based on, like, Japan or maybe China. Do a Splatoon based on South Korea. Find a famous South Korean landmark and just do it based on that. That'd be pretty cool. And you have a K-pop idol group. I've seen them also say do a boy band. I know, right, I know, idols are a very feminine thing, right? Like, when I think pop idol, I think feminine over masculine. But the boy band wars were a thing. I'd have no problem with a boy group. At least I don't think so. I'm just picturing the Splatoon boy band group being, the boys from, Gravity Falls. The boy band group from that. Were they called... What were they called? Were they several times? Boys in Love? I can't remember what the boy band group in Gravity Falls was called. I'm gonna guess several times. Alright, there we go. One final show. Let's take a look around real quick and see if we can find an amiibo thing. If not, no big deal. What is that back there? Is that just a crash spaceship or something? A VIP area. Technical stuff. I doubt it's gonna be up there. Ooh, that's kind of cute. I doubt the amiibo thing's anywhere around here. I mean, we can check the menu. See, we can't go to the city. We can go to Grisco or the Shoal. I'm honestly surprised the Shoal is still in there. I could, if anything gets cut from the next Splatoon, I could see it being the Shoal. I could see them just fully implementing the Shoal into the things. What was that? 124 for... Oh, 126 for Special Saver. I think that's our highest one. Yeah, I don't see any place to do amiibos. I don't see the boxes anywheres. So maybe there's just not amiibo in the thing, which is fine, I guess. I do like that. Man, that's I guess if you haven't beaten the story mode, it's just some random jellyfish here. So that's cool. Free bandstands. One conch win. It's a good end to Splatoon, you know? I guess end on a high note, you know, have fun with it. What more can you ask for? Oh, it's, Spike now. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm just gonna guess they're not around here. It's not around here. Because we have the boots, and I've been trying to get the other 2 pieces of gear, but every time I do, she's like, oh, come back next time. Yeah, here's the post box. I don't think I've ever made a post. You look at all this great art, and I just don't compare. I know that shouldn't stop me, but trust me, it does. Oh, I didn't even notice. The bus has all 3 of them? I wasn't even looking at the busser. I was so focused on these. in that I didn't even notice the bus earlier. Oh, okay, whatever. But yeah, I kind of hope train station either becomes just a permanent spot down here, or they find some way to keep this around, because this is just cool. Why put all this effort into developing this just for it to be for 2 weeks? Oh, look, we got the Cybertrucks back there. I see more and more Cybertrucks. I feel like every week now I see a Cybertruck. Like, they're more, like, you know, I was expecting them to be, like, pretty niche things. No, I see one, like, every week now. And every time it drives by me or I drive by it, because, you know, we're always going in opposite directions, I always call it a loser. They've never heard me, obviously, but because, you know, opposite directions and all that. But every time I call them a loser. Man, I love this game. Look at the sunset. We're going off on a good note here. So yeah, what's coming up in the future? I don't know. Fall Guys, Astrobot, other games. Because I see, the thing was, we were going to do Astrobot this week, because it was just going to be a one-off thing. We're going to do like 2 hours of Astrobot, we were going to have a good time, and then we were going to call it there and never touch the game again. And that just didn't happen. I know Zelda comes out later this month. We're not streaming Zelda. We did Tears of the Kingdom. We did Link's Awakening. I have no intention of doing Zelda. Maybe another day, year, month, whatever. So yeah, I got nothing else. We'll do Fall Guys at some point. Maybe we'll check out another multiplayer hero. Splatoon was just the perfect multiplayer hero shooter for me. Multiplayer shooter. Because it required just enough of my attention where I could talk about things while playing the game. And now that we've lost it, even though, again, the game's not going anywhere, it's just not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. So with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Till next time. Peace.